What is shaking? It's been far too long since we've been in the backyard. I love being in the backyard. What I love even more is having a good friend of mine join me in the backyard, Mike Silver of The Athletic. I always say, Mike, that's one of the best things about doing the radio for almost 30 years was getting to meet everybody and create friendships. And I certainly count you as one of those. So I appreciate you making the drive and coming down and enjoying the backyard with me.
Well, first of all, I think we met in college because, unfortunately, as you know, I grew up with one of your college teammates.
Yep.
So I think at Harmon Gym, probably you had to deal with me.
Probably.
And then
I couldn't hear you, though, because we were kicking your ass.
Yeah, well, I have a story about that. And then actually, I know pretty early on, Kirk came in. It must have been a Warriors-Cavs game, and you and Elo and I and maybe a couple other people
you
went
were
out
part
and
of that
had beers.
crew?
Yeah, and
You must have come over to the house.
I don't know.
Because Elo came back to the house and he goes, I wanted to get you something, housewarming gift. It's like a fifth of tequila. I go, that's so Elo. Here's a fifth of tequila.
I might have been dropped off by that. I just remember, listen, I've had a long, eventful career, and I've learned a lot of lessons. But one lesson I have not learned is drinking with big people.
Yeah.
I always believe that, somehow I'm going to just sit there and go drink for drink with really large humans. Obviously, in the NFL, that could get out of control. Yeah. NBA could get out of control.
The body weight catches up to you.
It's physics. And I did go to Cal. I did not absorb that lesson. But, okay, let me start this off because in college, it's going to take a while to get to the story, but I'll flash it back. You squared off at one point with this guy on Cal named Eddie Javis, who was he was like the 11th or 12th guy on the team. And normally if an Arizona guy and a Cal guy were squared off, me in college, I'd be inclined to support the Bear.
Yeah.
And
of course.
And in this case, I was kind of team Tolbert, and here's why. So Eddie Javis, like my freshman year, was, I believe, not on the basketball team, and he was just a student. And one night we had this crazy party night in the dorms, and this guy ended up friends of friends partying with us, and he was the Pied Piper, funniest guy of all time, new best friend.
Yeah.
We're like, my buddies and I walked out of the room going, this guy, Eddie Javis, is the coolest guy at Cal. We're going to be good friends forever. And then he walked on, made the team, started to get a little bit of a big head.
Yeah.
We never were able to recapture the glory of that night. In fact, I think he probably acted like we'd never met.
Yeah.
And then Cal broke a 52-game losing streak to UCLA. We called it the streak. Imagine that. 52. And, so many of those were nail-biters, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 26 years.
Yeah, that's a bad losing streak. By the way, concurrently at the time, I think we had like a 18-year football losing streak to them. It was a glorious time in the 80s. But anyway, we did break the streak on like a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, my junior year, and it was a glorious moment. And as we broke the streak and swarmed onto the Harmon Gym court, there was one player on each basket. On one basket was a well-liked backup guard named Ernie Sears, who hadn't gotten a lot of run. And on the other basket somehow was Eddie Javis, who had very, very little to do with the streak. So I think his head got exponentially bigger, and you were very eager in one moment, as you were the number one team in the country, to cut him down to size. And I just thought at the time, I like this guy because I think Eddie Javis has it coming.
It was funny. I'm not sure if it was Eddie Javis or not, but when we played them my senior year in the Pac-12 tournament, we were in Tucson.
Yeah, I was there.
Okay, so maybe that was the end, because I remember somebody getting in my face that game, like early second half. And I'll set the stage for you. It's going to be short. but I got to set the stage. We're at 42 at halftime. I mean, we were beating the living
You guys
shit
were so good.
out of Cal, and it wasn't even close. I'm
were-
like, God,
you
we could win by 80 if
You
we
guys
wanted
were really
to.
good at basketball.
Of course, you know, we let our foot off the gas a little bit, and they went on like a 6-0 run, cut it to 36. And I think it was him that got in my face. And I remember looking at him and going, bro, are you serious? I go, you cut it to 36. I go, if we finish the game out shooting left-handed, we're going to win. I go, you guys aren't even I go, just go away.
Your backup point guard was a future perennial major league all-star.
Yeah, Kenny Lofton.
You had, was Harvey Mason on that bench?
Harvey Mason was on the bench. Judd Bushler was on the bench.
Judd Bushler, 10-year NBA guy?
Yeah, Kenny Lofton.
Obviously.
On the bench.
You had, didn't you also have Joe Turner on the bench?
Joe Turner on the bench.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. We had a squad that year. And you had 2 McDonald's All-Americans, Sean Elliott, Craig McMillan.
Yeah.
And then Steve, myself, and Anthony Cook.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
That was pretty decent.
That was a pretty decent team.
And
not bad.
Was Rooks on that team?
Yep, Rooks was on the bench on that team.
Amazing. Yeah. Yep. So I just remember going down to the Bears lair to watch the Final Four game because obviously, you know, I grew up with Steve and back then I would have been team Pac-10.
Yeah.
As long as it wasn't Stanford, SC, or UCLA, probably.
Yes.
So I was like, you know, and you guys, listen, that Oklahoma team was good. They were good. You guys did not play your best game. No. It happens. But what
are you going to do?
But what a great team, man. And I saw the whole evolution because obviously, you know, I was a freshman with Steve. And then so that was a 5-year evolution of, you know, because Lute had taken over, I think, 1-26 or something crazy.
Yeah, they were awful.
Yeah.
They were just awful. I think Snowden might have been the coach before Lute, and then Lute came in and turned it around. And then we got to the Final Four, and 6-7 years later they ended up winning the national championship.
Was that the Damon Stoudemire team? Who won the national?
That was the Mike Bibby.
The Mike Bibby team.
Miles Simon.
That's right.
I think
Bibby,
Jason
Miles
Terry.
Yes.
Was on that. That was a good squad too. But I think they were 5th in the Pac-10 that year.
Yeah, Cal got to the Sweet 16 that year after Ed Gray got hurt in the last game.
Ed Gray,
dunking.
Good player.
And Tony Gonzalez led us to a couple of upsets. And we were playing North Carolina literally up 8 with 3 minutes to go. And it was your classic, like, Cal must have gone, like, there was a timeout. They must have sat in the huddle going, guys, we're up 8 on North Carolina because they played like it after that. They were like, and then I think you beat North Carolina after that to go to the Final Four. Arizona did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, because I think that Arizona team beat 3 number 1s. Yeah. I think it was like Kansas, North Carolina, and then maybe Kentucky was. I think they're the only team to beat 3 number 1 seeds. When Steve, started experiencing Cal basketball as a Cal dad, first when Maddie was there for volleyball, and then Nick, came and did his grad transfer, and then was a coach. So the year after Jaylen Brown left, still had Ivan Rabb and some guys, and Steve texted me and said, "Hey, I'm going to the Cal Oregon game." Now, this was a game Cal probably had to win to get in the tournament, and it was like battle for third in the conference. Two pretty good teams. Would have been a huge win for Cal, and Cal got up late. Same thing. I think there might have been 2 minutes to go and had a nice lead. And Steve texted me like, "Go Bears!" And I just texted back, "Hold on for dear life." And naturally, Cal blew the game, and he texted me after and said, "Is this what it's like?" I said, "Yeah, this is exactly what it's like." He's like, "How did you know?" I'm like, "Because I've been doing this for decades now and still believing that somehow we'll get a different result." You always do it. I think he might have texted me "Go Bears" one time. I just sent back spam, unsubscribe. Bro, don't ever text me that ever again. You can't text that to you. Do that with your Cal buddies. I'm not one of them. I remember when one of the most impressive things, and like I brag about him a lot, having grown up with him, and I usually brag about the playing stuff because he has the all-time highest 3-point percentage. Yes, he does. And all that. So I usually defend him as a player, but the one thing I thought that he's done that maybe is the most impressive thing basketball-wise is he was announcing on CBS as Arizona in an Elite Eight game blew the game in the last couple of minutes and lost. And I just remember saying, if that was me in a Cal game, I don't care if it's national TV, I would have started dropping MF bombs and crying and screaming. And he's like, I was thinking it inside, but the fact that he was able to handle that and not betray his sheer meltdown, I thought was incredibly
what
impressive.
A professional. See, I think the most impressive thing he didn't actually do it. He was just a part of it. Was I think 1 year on 2K, he was the announcer, the coach, and a player.
That is
you're the announcer, you're the coach, and your player is playing for you. I go, that's pretty sweet. I go, hey, can you get me on your team? Play me more. I'd like to get us some shots, please.
That's I mean, that is like, you'd
have like Twilight Zone.
Like I
stuff.
know, like now Everett psychedelics are in, but like if somehow Steve could indulge in psychedelics and then experience that would be, you would see it. There'd be a portal to another universe or something.
All right, let's get to a little football.
Yeah.
Let's start off with the big story of the week. Micah Parsons traded. Again, you don't get these trades very often. I think the last one I can remember that was like of this proportion was probably Khalil Mack, when he got traded from the Raiders to the Bears. I mean, obviously the same team with Herschel Walker many years ago. And I want you to get into it because you pointed out in your article in The Athletic, like when Jerry was saying, don't lose any sleep over, you're like, not so fast. I think dream on were the words you actually used.
Actually linked to the Aerosmith official video.
Can we file this? I mean, could this be filed under the heading Jerry Jones hubris?
Yeah. And I've defended Jerry Jones for years and years. I know him really well. Yep. One of the ways I defended him always was he's all in on this. He doesn't have other businesses.
Yep.
He desperately wants to win, and he's trying really, really hard in his way. But the last few years, it hasn't really reeked of that. And, people get old, stuff changes. I don't know. I just know that, okay, let's go all the way back.
Okay.
First of all, you draft Micah Parsons. He turns out to be fantastic. Now, maybe they know him better than any of us. He's their player. I'm sure he's got some pain in the ass elements. He did a podcast. Everyone does.
Yeah.
But they were in, a mindset where like, we're trying to pay this guy. So, yeah, if you don't want to pay him, fine, trade him then. Trade him before the draft, get some guys now. But they were like in the spring, no, we want to pay him. So Jerry decides, I got an idea. I'm going to try what I always try with these guys. I'm going to try to get these guys talking without their agent involved. Now, I have agents. You've had agents. Agents don't love that.
Not really.
When you, as the employee, start having direct conversations.
Don't like to be cut out.
Well, nor should they.
No, absolutely.
Like an agent should be able to say, like, if you let go of Tom Tolbert or don't pay him this and risk losing him, there will be a massive hole in your station that can never be filled.
Yeah.
You don't want to say that.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
But my agent can definitely, ideally finesse that. So, and by the way, this is not just us saying it. This is the protocol that agreed to by the union and the owners. You got to go through the agent when there's an agent. Now, Jerry just runs that stop sign. He's like, nah, I'm just going to talk to Micah. Here's what a deal would look like. Now, I blame Micah for being foolish enough to engage in those discussions without saying, hey, man, like Dak Prescott did, just call my agent. I blame the agent, David Mulugeta, who's one of the power agents in football, because I'm sure David Mulugeta told Micah, don't talk to him, but I don't think he told him strongly enough. And you know this from sports. Some guys just really need to be told in a strong way preemptively. I feel like David Mulugeta should have said, Micah, if Jerry Jones tries this crap on you, which he will, you say, call David Mulugeta. So he didn't. So now, here's the worst part. So Jerry talks to Micah. He works out what he thinks is a deal. Micah's kind of like, oh, okay, I'll talk to my agent. He calls David Mulugeta. David Mulugeta's like, dude, what? And so Micah then says to Jerry, yeah, call David and work it out. Now, Jerry immediately goes into, no, we had a deal. I won't call him. I won't return his call. I won't text him. And this goes on for months and months. And their attitude the whole time is, man, we had a deal. What's your problem? Okay. You tried to bamboozle him and it didn't work. So going into it, I blame all three of them for that. Now, you've passed the draft. You can't get a player that's going to help you this year from the draft. And you know it's headed towards this point. You're not doing anything. You're not calling the agent. Then you get into the whole, well, I control him. Players love to hear that you control them, by the way.
Yes, they do.
But, like, I could make him play on the 5th-year option this year. Then I could put the franchise tag on him, and then another year. So I control him for 3 years. And, you know, if he doesn't like it, go ahead and sit out. Now, what Jerry is underestimating at that point is that, you know, some players might cave in this situation, but David Mulugeta, he's the guy who was the agent for Jalen Ramsey. Now, this was one of my favorite things in 2019.
All the back.
Jalen Ramsey had an incident with Tom Coughlin on the sidelines. He didn't like the way he was being spoken to by Tom Coughlin, who was now back as the something of football operations, you know, the de facto team president.
Yeah.
And he decided he didn't want to be in Jacksonville anymore. So, yeah, he did the back.
I can feel it right there.
Couldn't practice, couldn't play. Finally, the Jaguars were like, we got to get this guy out of here. They traded him to the Rams.
Yeah.
On the flight from Jacksonville to L.A., a miraculous thing happened.
Amazing.
I think, like, there must have been, like, some weird alignment of his back because he practiced and played the entire year.
Yeah, first-class seats are amazing nowadays. They can do that type of thing.
Those sleeper seats.
Yeah.
So that's Micah Parsons now in training in all through the summers. Like, man, my back. So yeah, Jerry could have been like, you have to, you know, play on the 5th-year option, and Micah could have been like, cool. Oh, by the way, I'm hurt. My back hurts. You know, sorry. Every week. So I think finally it got to the point where Jerry started to realize, like, it's not going so great. By the way, Jerry helped inflame it by going on Michael Irvin's podcast and describing what happened when he tried to bamboozle Michael, and then he tried to talk to David Mulugeta tried to talk to him, and Jerry said, "Yeah, the agent told us to shove it up our ass," which I don't think was meant to be a direct quote, but it didn't sound. I don't think the optics were good. So anyway. Finally, the Cowboys hit critical mass. And to their credit, they got a pretty good package under the circumstances. And they got Kenny Clark, a player who could help them now, along with the 2 first-round picks. But he's 29, going on 30. He's coming off an injury, and he plays inside. Micah Parsons is 26, plays, you know, the second most important position in the sport. And, you know, obviously is considered one of the pure game changers. And then I think the funniest part was Jerry Jones up there at the podium trying to tell everyone this was the plan all along, and here's why. We won this trade.
Well, I think you hit it on the head when you said they got a good deal under the circumstances.
Right.
It could have been a better deal, but at this point, this is what they were left with. So let's go to the Green Bay part of it, because this is not a deal that Green Bay does. Like, this is one of the last teams I would have thought would do a deal like this. Green Bay just does not do these type of deals
at all.
They did a lot of money. It was like 180 something and 130 something guaranteed for 4. Where does this put them now? Because you got Philly up there. Green Bay, I think, was going to be up there anyway, right? And Detroit was probably going to be up there. Maybe the Niners, if they could ever get a wide receiver, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But this has got to put Green Bay right up near the top, doesn't it?
I think so. Now, football's tricky. And listen, I talked about how there's some lessons I don't learn. Like, remember the Eagles' dream team with Michael Vick and them and Nnamdi and all that? No one has ever fallen harder for a team than me for the dream team. I was like, oh my God, they are going to win the Super Bowl. This is the greatest offseason ever.
I remember that.
And it was less of a dream. It was more like an anxiety dream.
Yeah.
Did not go well. Football's different. The hardest thing for me, like, basketball's easier partly because there's only 5 guys at a time and, you know, you can see it more. Football, the hardest thing for me year to year is understanding chemistry and what's really going on inside. You know, it's a sport where guys are bending their arm back, you know, 270 degrees and just doing irrational shit. So there's got to be something behind that collectively that gets a team to the point where they will do those things more regularly for one another.
Mhm.
Is it because of what the coach said? Is it because of brotherhood?
Yeah.
Is it because they just have more crazy people? Something usually is happening chemistry wise that makes those teams greater than we can see. That's why it's not always sustainable year to year. So, on paper, yeah, you add Micah Parsons to the Packers and you go, yeah, you put them right up there. Obviously, the Packers are thinking that. Jordan Love to me is one of those guys who, because football with the way the cap is, if you're going to pay a guy, you either want a guy in a rookie deal, or if you pay a guy, you want him to be transcendent.
Yep.
And anything in the middle is scary. You pay him because he's better than what you had, but you're just not sure if he can make up for the other weaknesses caused cap-wise.
Yep.
And Jordan Love is, to me, right at kind of at the bottom of that middle so far.
Yep.
He's looked good, but he hasn't really done it in big games a lot. I think back to that 49er game in the 2023 playoffs, which was there for the taking. He had a chance to drive them down at the end after they kind of let the game slip through their grasp. And he threw an interception, I think, on first down.
To Greenlaw.
Yeah. And
then Greenlaw decided to get up and run, and everybody's going, what the let's fuck it out. He's like, woo, I'm going to score, baby.
That was a really weird one for me because that sensibility, which I know is wrong, you should just go down, was offset by my pure love for Greenlaw as a player and person. I love him too. Such a Greenlaw fan. So I was just like, yeah, he really should go down, but God, it's so fun to watch this.
Yeah. It would have seemed a lot less fun if he'd have fumbled, but he didn't. Here's the thing, because I'm wondering the same thing about Jordan Love, because I don't have any questions about, I think the line's solid. Jacobs was a real great. I mean, it's a fantastic pickup for them.
Play calling is really good with
LaFleur. I like LaFleur a lot. And by the way, I will ask you about your book at some points, because I love that book. I read it, and it was a really, really fun book to read and kind of get insights to all those guys that are friends and now competitors. But they draft Golden, they got Reed, they got Wicks, they got Dubs, they got Kraft. They got the other tight end. I can't even think of it. I mean, they got tons of weapons. So if Love is just good, doesn't even need to be great, and now you add Parsons, who's going to elevate the whole defense by putting pressure on the opposing team, I think they're going to be right there. But again, I'm not willing to say I know what Love is quite yet. I don't.
Don't take that.
I'm not talking about.
Don't take that one. I'm not willing to say I know what love is.
I'm not talking about my private life.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the quarterback.
Yeah, you mean capital L.
Well, I mean, Lori may say no. You got it right the first time.
Does any of us ever really know? I mean, do we? Really?
I don't know. Well, I do. I do know what love is, and it comes in a 16-ounce can. Hey, can you get us a couple beers, man?
Now that's called a segue.
Do you like that? And get Mike middle rack, far right. That's where I put the Pilsners. I don't care. You did. I bought them all. It's like, here's what this is one of my biggest pet peeves of all time. When you go traveling with somebody, and I just went traveling with one of my friends, one of my dearest friends from Denver, Steve, and he only did it one time. And he didn't really even do it. I kind of made it seem like he did it. But when you put in your playlist, like you hook your phone up to the Apple CarPlay and you're playing your playlist, and then you go, oh, this song's killer. But well, fuck, it's your playlist. You're gonna think every song's killer. You don't need to tell me. Like, I know that. And then when people do it over and over and over again, it's like, stop telling me this song's sweet.
Hey, let me tell you about my book, by the way. It's killer.
It's on your
The Why is Everything. It's available everywhere. And Tom, it is killer.
God.
This
song's a fucking banger.
We should do a whole thing. Like, hey, tell me about your Arizona career.
Yeah. Oh, I was amazing.
Yeah, it was killer.
I was amazing.
I wrote some great articles back then too.
They're incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well, cheers to you and your incredible writing skills.
Thank you. What kind do you have? This is a
West
Coast Pills.
I have a Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dance.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's Cellar Maker. And you got a
Russian River
Pilsner.
God, we should have sponsorship.
That is very good. Well, we're gonna. That's kind of the goal. Got to be honest with you. Is like get some craft beers to sponsor the show at some point, because
it
fits like a glove.
It really does.
Yeah, it does. It just boom. I love my craft beer and all that. And the Russian River is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
What beer were you? What was your go-to beer in high school and college? Was
Shoot, I didn't drink in high school until like my maybe last month.
Wow.
Yeah, people probably think I was like drunk in 8th grade. Like I wasn't. But in college, I mean, obviously Coors Light. And then if we really wanted to step it up, it was Tonight. Let It Be Lowenbrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Michelob was the other like step up.
Heineken.
Moosehead, if it was a special occasion.
How do we not realize in college when you opened it up and it smelled like a skunk just sprayed you? And you drank it and you go, "That's good stuff."
What about Mickey's Big Mouth with the
That was garbage.
Yeah.
I hated malt liquor.
Did you ever buy plain wrap beer like you just to
no,
save
that
money?
said beer on it?
Yeah.
No, I never did that.
How about hams? You go hams?
I had hams.
Yeah.
I had hams, yep. Killian's Irish Red.
Oh yeah, Killian's
That
Red.
was one where you felt like you brought that to a party. You didn't even care if you get invited. You just come in with the Killian's.
Got it. Like, and then remember
solid.
Like Sierra Nevada happened. And
Sierra Nevada was like mind blowing.
It was mind blowing.
Those two, Anchor Steam from here and Sierra Nevada from Butte. That was like, or Chico. Yeah, that's like the godfather of all pale ales. Like, and it still holds. I went out with a guy.
It does still hold.
One of my buddies who owns Beer Bottle, Lester.
And he owns Beer Bottle?
Yeah, we went to a bar over here, Lucky 13 in Alameda, and we both had a Sierra Nevada on draft. They got all kinds of really cool beers and then Sierra Nevada. So we had a Sierra Nevada, and we both decided this thing's still incredible.
Yeah.
Like it's still, Sierra Nevada still holds like 30 years later as just an incredible beer.
Is Red Hook gone? Can you still get it?
I haven't had a Red Hook in forever.
Me neither.
I haven't had that in forever.
Yeah, but Sierra Nevada still holds. Anchor still holds. It will rest in peace.
Well, if it's
yeah,
Anchor still holds, you can find it.
By the way, Guinness still holds. Miracle.
Yeah,
beer.
Guinness good. Guinness good.
Miracle
I like Guinness.
Red Hook, yes.
Red Hook still around?
Still, yeah.
Up in Seattle, probably. Huh?
I'm a big Manny's Pale Ale when I'm in Seattle. Georgetown Manny's Pale Ale.
Huh.
I'll put it up against anything.
I don't know if I've had one.
Yeah,
of those.
you're gonna need that.
Okay.
Next time you're in Seattle.
Okay. Well, if they ever get a team back there, then maybe I'll head to Seattle.
They tried to steal the Sacramento Kings, but
did.
KJ saved them.
I think they're going to get there. I think they'll get their team eventually.
I hope so.
I think they'll get their team eventually. All right, let's get to the Niners and what's going on with Juwan Jennings. Because Niners could kind of use a receiver. I mean, the receiver room's really depleted now. I mean, Cowing's on IR. Juwan Jennings is hurt or not, but he's not playing. He's not there.
Yeah, my theory on his injury.
Yep.
I think if you took like big stacks of cash and massaged the calf like vigorously and kept dropping those stacks and adding more,
You think that would do it?
I think it would just heal right up.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
You're probably right. Ayuk probably won't be back till middle of the season. So it's what? It's Pearsall. Watkins is hurt. He had the high ankle sprain.
Yeah, they got a
and then Robinson's out for 3 games.
They got a who's who of like
who's who
promising guys from 2021 who are past their prime on paper. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Russell Gage, maybe Kendrick Bourne.
That's right.
They're gonna work him out.
Sky Moore.
Yeah. I thought you said Scotty Miller. They should get him too, though.
Yeah, I believe last time I saw Sky Moore, he's catching a touchdown against the Eagles in the Super Bowl that they won.
Didn't he have a big punt return in that game too?
That's a good question. I don't remember that, but I know he had the touchdown on that little like deacon, and he went back to the corner. He caught one of those, and then the guy from Florida.
Extra K or extra Y in Sky Moore?
I think it's extra
Y, right?
Extra Y, yeah.
He leaves you asking why twice.
It's like a vodka.
Yeah.
Sky Moore vodka.
2
Ys.
That's an endorsement deal waiting to happen too.
Yeah. So how do you see this playing out? Because it seems pretty apparent the Niners are not inclined to give him any more money. And I see both sides of this, Mike, because he outperformed his contract. But as I said earlier in the summer, I was like, yeah, he was the number 1 receiver for the Niners. He had a really good year for him. They had 6 wins. So it wasn't like he helped him win a bunch more games. And you know what? I'd love to help you out, but geez, we can't keep doing contracts every summer. Like if we gave you an extension last summer, we're going to be less inclined to give you one the following summer. But I understand his point of view. I may never get this chance again to get some money here because I may go back to being the 3rd receiver next year. So,
and it always comes down to leverage. And right now, his leverage today is the best it could ever be.
Yep.
They have no one else. He probably is underpaid a little.
Yep.
They have $42 million of cap space or something, and I know they're trying to save cash, and it's easy for me to just spend Jed York's money, and he doesn't want it. You know, he wants it reined in a little after they went all in again last year. But they are in a little bit of a pickle, and his leverage will go down once the games start, because after 3 weeks, DeMarcus Robinson comes back. Ayuk is going to eventually come back. You know, maybe Sky Moore starts picking up the offense. You know, all that happens. But I always think in these situations, Band-Aid. They're not going to be able to do another long-term deal that he likes and that they're willing to do. But is there a way to throw money at the problem and just be like, okay, fine, we'll give you an extra, you know, $4 million in easy incentives, or just something that will make him feel good right now and that is palatable, gets him on the field. So I'm hoping there's a Band-Aid, but he might want so much that Band-Aids aren't in play either. Like Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals just did a Band-Aid. Basically, it was like, okay, we're not going to give you the long-term deal you want. You don't want to play on this crappy deal you have now. Let's just Band-Aid it for a year. And we could franchise you after it, but probably you know and we know that you're going to go be a free agent after this. So I would root for the Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So where are you at with the Niners this year? I mean, they got the star power. They still, as far as like the top 5 or 6 guys, they might have the most star power in the league this side of Philadelphia, I guess. Other than that, it gets a little thin. You're counting on a lot of rookies to come in and perform, and kind of counting on, you know, Brock Purdy to be Brock Purdy, which I think he's going to be. I mean, I think it's so funny that every game they play is a referendum on Brock Purdy. I'm like, aren't we over that yet? I think
locally we mostly are.
I know, it's like he got drafted 3 years ago. Who cares if we got drafted? But people still bring it up.
It's amazing.
That schedule's easy. I think. I don't want to say it's easy, because you never know who's going to be good this year. The teams last year with the bad schedules. So
I want to go on a riff here on the schedule.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm not one of those look at the schedule guys because of what you said. You never know. There is a 50% playoff turnover rate over decades, so you really don't know. That said, in this rare case, this has happened 3 or 4 times to me since the schedule came out. A prominent NFL person, either front office or coaching, has said to me in a conversation about something else, hey, how many games do you think the Niners are going to win next year? And I can hear in their voice, they're thinking 7.
Yeah.
And I say, well, it's a great question, but have you seen their schedule? And they go, no. And I go, well, let's read it. Now, the last time I did this was in person over beers in a bar.
Okay.
And the coach in question goes, coach of a team that will win many more than 7 games, assistant coach, said, hey, how many games do you think the Niners are going to win? I go, hey. So I read the schedule in front of him, and he was like, there's no way I could see them possibly losing 6. He goes, I don't see the 6 losses. And he goes, you're absolutely right. And by the way, everything you said is true. Thin, a lot of rookies, depth, questions, like that's all true. But like on paper, let's say their hardest games are the Rams. Their next hardest game on paper is at Texans.
At Texans.
Maybe at Tampa. So we don't know. It changes. And if they play like they did last year, they'll lose a lot. But if you believe in the coaching, which I do, I think week in, week out, Kyle on offense will have it schemed up well. And defensively, I believe Saleh will have it schemed up well. So you're going to have, if nothing else, you're going to push every week or be better on scheme 17 times. We like the quarterback. We think he's very good and presumably ascending. If McCaffrey and Kittle and Trent Williams are healthy on offense, you figure you're going to get productivity. They always find other guys to run the ball. They always find guys to kind of catch it. I don't know. I feel like they're going to have to score a lot because though Saleh will give them a bump, they're going to have 5 rookies on defense starting or playing prominent roles. I think there is to me, they seem like, win a bunch of games, host a playoff game, maybe, or get in the playoffs and be favored, and then they either are peaking at the right time or they get revealed in the playoffs as like, oh yeah, they won a lot of games, but they just got beat by some 6th seed or something.
Yeah. If you were to ask all the guys in the NFL, which is quite considerable, executives, coaches, stuff like that, where Kyle is in terms of NFL head coaches, top 5, top 8, top 10, further down the line, where do you think most people who evaluate the game of football, who are intelligently, I think, evaluating the game, where would they put him?
I think they'd put him really high. If it was just, hey, who can scheme it up?
Yep.
He'd be, I mean, as I said in my book, The Why is Everything, which, by the way, is killer because it's on my playlist.
Thank you.
So,
although I can vouch for that.
Thank you. When you say it's killer, it feels like
it's like, do you ever see the movie The Jerk?
Yeah.
As long as we got a voucher, I'm Mr. Nussbaum. As long as we got a voucher, we're good. Put the tires in there and everything. All right, go ahead. So if they're scheming it up, you get very high marks.
As I say in The Why is Everything, if you gave Sean McVay truth serum and said, who's at the highest level of it, you or Kyle, he would probably say Kyle, but he would also say leadership and other things would give me an edge. So if it's just like knowing it and scheming it, he'd be exceptionally high. I think the caveat would be, he hasn't won the big one now. Andy Reid hadn't won the big one, and look what happened. He's had the lead in some of those games as a head coach. I think counting the Atlanta one is kind of BS. I think that goes on Dan Quinn.
Exactly.
That's on the head.
I've never heard that before. A coordinator getting blamed for a Super Bowl loss.
It's crazy. But I think, they'd say he had the lead against the Chiefs the first time. Second time, I think the other criticism about Kyle, and it seems like he's trying to address it, is he has openly said some things. Like, he has said in so many words, my attitude on special teams is, just don't screw it up. He was asked literally like why he hadn't faked a punt as the 49er coach, and his answer in so many words was, that's what people do who have to steal a possession because they can't win with just offense and defense. And I'm like, wow. And last year they were losing games because of special teams. The Super Bowl changed the year before because a ball hit a guy's leg, and then Ray McCloud tried to scoop and run, and it changed. You were in the state. It changed the entire game. It changed the vibe, and so I think this seems to be the first time where he's taking it with a little more urgency. So I think, look, he's one of the best. Once he breaks through and wins the Super Bowl, we'll start talking about him as, one of the 3 best.
Well, it's funny because his mantra was always, just don't fuck it up. And that's all they did was fuck it up.
Right.
I mean, they were awful. Like every phase of special teams, covering kicks, returning kicks, covering punts, returning punts,
weird.
Like everything.
It's so weird for me because I started covering the 49ers in 1989 with the now defunct Sacramento Union and then with the Santa Rosa Press Democrat. And George Seifert's college roommate, Lynn Stiles, was the special teams coach. And we used to laugh because, that's job security, right? Yeah. Like if you were, it's kind of like Q. It's kind of like Bruce Frazier, right? Like there is some job security. Not that Q is not unbelievable.
Beautiful. The most interesting man in the NBA.
As a person and a coach.
Q is great.
No, he is great. But we used to laugh like, well, George isn't going to fire Lynn Stiles, but their special teams in 1989, 1990, 1981 were trash. But their attitude was, we don't care. We have Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and Ronnie Lott and Roger Craig, and we're so good on offense and defense. And they say it's a third of the game. We've run the numbers. It's more like a 12, and we'll just overcome it. And in the pre-salary cap era, when you have Joe Montana and Ronnie Lott, you can't overcome it.
You're good.
But as time passed and things got a little more equalized, it comes, it can bite you. So that's how I came in. And no one's that good anymore. Like, we're not going to have a team anymore that's as good as the 89 Niners, I think, because of the cap.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Now it's going to be interesting because I think, what I also really think is going to help the Niners this year is just getting bounced early last year. I think it'll rejuvenate them physically,
right.
spiritually,
right,
mentally. I think everything is good because I think they're going to be super motivated going into this year because let's face it, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, I'm not going to say he's on the back nine yet, but he may be at the turn. I mean, there's some Trent Williams is definitely on the back nine. I have no idea where on the back nine he is.
George Kittle's on the back
Kittle's
nine.
on the back nine as well.
Kyle Juszczyk.
Juszczyk's definitely on the back nine. I mean, you know, Fred Warner's probably at the turn.
Yeah.
He's probably right at the turn, and Bosa's still in the front.
Fred Warner, by the way, just like birdied 9, though.
Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, I love Fred Warner. Love watching him.
Diablo Lenore is only like on the 4th hole, and he's killing it.
So I mean, this, like, there's going to be some urgency here. And I think the Rams are probably better, like, as a team, but I think the schedule, because the Rams got the Ravens and the Lions.
Matthew Stafford has a real back injury.
Now that's a good point. That's a good point.
You know who their backup is, right?
Jimmy G, baby. Let's go.
Please give me a Jimmy G game at Levi's. Last year I was begging for it. In fact, I saw Jimmy before the game on the field, and I said, hey, dude, not to wish anything ill on Matthew, but like if he got a very minor ankle injury and you had to come in and, you know, play this game against the Niners, which they needed desperately. Yeah. As a journalist, I would hate it. So be ready.
Oh my God. One of my favorite parts of Jimmy G was the fact that once summer was up, he didn't return anybody's calls ever. He's just gone. I wonder if McVay ever hears from him during the summer. Like, is he just he probably doesn't have to because he's a backup.
Well, don't say he wasn't warned. The one off season though he was on point was after they drafted Trey.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He was like, they were like, man, Jimmy's here all the time. He's on it. Yeah, no, and this is in the book, I think, but the story they tell is that, you know, he has those 5 games at the end of 2018. They win 5. They beat the Jags, who were really good. There were MVP chants. They were calling him Jimmy Jesus. I was at that game. It was Christmas Eve day. And then they paid him in, I want to say, February, and he was briefly the highest paid player in football. And I went to the press conference for NFL Network. I covered it. It was this, you know, it was one of the most feel good days there since Harbaugh had been fired, right? Like, there hadn't been a lot of joy. And they had that restaurant, the Michael Mina place at the time in the stadium that was always open. So they went over there to have like a post party to celebrate the signing. And, you know, Jimmy showed up to that, I think, for like a second, and then Irish goodbye. And then they didn't hear from him again until, like, you know, late July. And this was February. They're like, we just made him the highest paid player. He's the quarterback. And, you know, he's not really returning our checks. And I think Jimmy was having a great time.
Yeah, I think he was too.
Just was, you know, it was the offseason. I'll never forget. So when I was at Sports Illustrated, I knew Edgerrin James really well when he was on the Colts. And they were like, hey, go out and just do his big Edgerrin James story. And so I called him, and he goes, oh, come to Miami Memorial Day weekend. It's a really wholesome environment. And we were up all night for many nights, bowling one of the nights. And
it's like a Dr. Dre video.
Yeah, and they tried to get Chad Ochocinco or Johnson was there. It was Samari Roll. But they decided at the end that they were going to go to Cancun, and that I had to come. And this was like a midnight decision. And so I told them, I just have to go back to the hotel, make sure like I get my suitcase. And I got my suitcase and went right to the airport and flew to San Francisco. Like, I was like, I am not going to Cancun with Edgerrin. Like, it's been a long weekend. And so then I went home and wrote, well, it turned out there'd been a voluntary minicamp. And though you're not supposed to, both Bill Polian, the autocratic team president of the Colts, and Peyton Manning publicly criticized Edgerrin for missing a voluntary minicamp. So my editor called, and he said, before we publish this has become a thing. You need to call Edgerrin and get a quote. So I call and, wake him up at 4 p.m. or whatever. And I'm like, he's like, oh, so, hey, what's up? I go, hey, this has become a thing. I go, can you give me a quote about missing this minicamp? And he goes, I only went to college for 2.5 years, and even I know the meaning of the word voluntary.
That's a quote.
Thank you.
That's a quote. All right, let me ask you the cheesy kind of a sports talk question. If McCaffrey's healthy, who has the better year? And let's assume all these guys are healthy. Him, Saquon, Bijan.
Yeah, I remember when McCaffrey got traded to the Niners, and I was talking to, a really highly regarded offensive assistant for another team, and we were talking about McCaffrey, and he'd been banged up and stuff, and he said, you have to understand, McCaffrey's a great player, and he said, but the value of McCaffrey with Kyle is exponentially higher.
Yeah.
And, at the time, Debo was also kind of interchangeable. So it just allowed them to do so many different things, make it look like one thing and have it be another. And so, you got to evolve every year and all that. But I feel like a truly healthy McCaffrey in that system with that game planner probably has, a year like we saw 2 years ago. Big caveat, right? Football and health. On the other hand, as you saw with Barkley last year, when your line is that good and your quarterback's a running threat and your defense is good and you're just rolling, life is pretty good. So do we believe the Eagles will be just as good on the offensive line and Jalen Hurts will play well and the defense will be good? I mean, I think we believe the Eagles are going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put Bijan Robinson in that conversation yet. But, what do I know? I would keep an eye on the young. I'm always into young legs, right? Like R.J. Harvey in Denver, Travion Henderson. Is that Trayvon? Is that his name?
I don't know. I think it's Travion, but it could be Trayvon. I think it's Travion.
T. Henderson.
There you go. You can't go on. The dude from Ohio State. That's the dude.
And do you spell it Foxborough with the O or the O-U-G-H? That's always a tough one. And you look at sometimes these young legs come in and it's that's exciting too. I think the Chargers have a guy.
No, Hampton. I'm already in Hampton. I'll tell you the one I'm looking at is the guy from Tennessee. I think his name's Dylan Sampson. Went to Cleveland. And I think it's him. He's there. Judkins is there.
Judkins is not there
Ohio
yet.
State. That's true. He's not there yet. He should be. But that's kind of why I go, because I like Sampson. I watched him play at Tennessee quite a bit. They were on TV a lot the last couple of years. And he's not huge, but he's a goal line guy. He can score at the goal line, and he's got some shiftiness and some toughness to him. But I'm with you. I mean, at the running back position, always look young because those guys can pop, and they pop quick. All right, I wanted to ask you about the
your neighbor's party, man. That loud music going on.
They do?
That was cool. I mean, maybe it was just a car driving by.
I think it was a car. Yeah, my neighbors don't party at all. I'm the one that plays loud music around here.
I love there's a line in one of the 90s Jay-Z songs where he's talking about something and he goes, softer than my next door neighbors. I'm like, what a great way of saying, yeah, I don't live in the hood anymore.
Yeah, just nice and quiet around here. So you spent draft night with the Jaguars.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
2 nights.
Did you? Yeah, 2 nights.
Yeah, I have this weird ability to charm people into letting me into draft rooms, and I did it a bunch with the Rams in both St. Louis and LA and a couple other places over the years, but it had been a minute. So when Tony Baselli, a guy covered during his illustrious Hall of Fame career and have known for a long time, when he got back into football and became the Jaguars, I think, executive vice president of something, but basically running football, my wheels started spinning a little bit. So at the owners' meetings, I talked to Tony and then subsequently talked to their new GM, James Gladstone, and Liam Cohen, their new coach. And I know the owners, Shad Khan and his family really well, because you got to have all those things. Like, I've learned over the years, it could be torpedoed by owner skepticism, PR skepticism, GM, obviously, coach, or someone else. you gotta make all the dominoes fall. But to the Jags' credit, they trusted me to do it. And one of the reasons I think is that, you know, they really are of the belief that they're in a reboot, a rebrand, and the way Baselli sees it, you know, we're not these, you know, sorry ass Jags anymore who you get pushed around. We're going to start, you know, having some swag again, like what I played. And so they were eager, I think, to have their story told, and you know, they trusted me to do it. So you're always happy to get into a draft room. It's like, this is great, this is a win. And
then
so Baselli, you know, I was like, listen, I'm going to fly in. Can we just go out the night before? Because I used to do this with Jeff Fisher. Like, you know, this is what we're trying to do. These are some of the guys, you know, and they trust me, obviously, not to leak that. And so Tony calls me on the Wednesday night. And he's like, listen, I'm just getting, you know, swamped. He goes, is there any way I could just pick you up in the morning? I'll take you to the facility. We'll sit down in the cafeteria. We'll get some food and I'll tell you everything. And I was like, yeah, of course. So, you know, he picks me up and checking out the facility. We go to get food. He kind of is sitting down before me. I go up to get like an iced tea to go with my food. I sit down and put the iced tea back. And he's like, okay, so what if we were picking second? And I was just like, oh. So then it became an even cooler story because we all know what that meant. And the Travis Hunter trade was contingent upon the only thing that could have messed it up. The Browns said, we're doing this with you on the clock. But if for some reason Cam Ward does not go 1 and Hunter doesn't go 1, because that would also torpedo it. But let's say somebody else had gone 1, they were going to take Cam Ward at 2 and trade was off. But everyone thought Cam Ward was going 1, so it was essentially, it was on. So yeah, that worked out great. I was able to, you know, without it getting out, I was able to alert my bosses like, hey, I'm going to be writing live also off tonight because I think something eventful is going to happen. You just got to trust me, so expect a story.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was really cool. It was cool because they, you know, I just like, I'm not in the business of saying who's going to be good or who's not going to be good. Although usually, like, if it hits you over the head, like, you know, has to hit me over the head. Like Ricky Williams in college, I think he'll be good at the, you know, Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Travis Hunter will probably be pretty good, but I'm more into process. You know, are you true to what your values going in were? Were you aggressive? Did you take a risk? Are you, is it collaborative and all that? And so just to see them excited about what, not just who they were getting, but what that meant and what that signified and all that was really cool.
When you said Jeff Fisher, I could only think of one thing. Every time somebody says Jeff Fisher, I don't know if this will spark your guys' memories or if you remember this, but at the end of games where the Titans were going to win, he'd go. He just tells quarterback this victory formation.
Oh, with the hands.
The hands. He'd just go. He'd look over on each other. He'd go. Go, fucking Jeff Fisher.
What if you were a coach and you thought your counterpart was not taking risks in a key moment and you just started going like this?
I thought he meant it was his anniversary or something. I was like, what are you
would
doing,
that be frowned upon?
Probably, but I mean, you could probably get away with it. It'd have to be a small circle, though. You can't let it leak out.
Chip Kelly had the signs. That was always, you know, funny. The Rocky, you know, holding up Rocky Balboa.
Remember, it got so ridiculous in college where they used to have the boards and then they had the big sheets to cover the board, so you could. I'm like, what are we doing here? Can I
go on a little rant here?
Please. What do you mean? That's what this is made for.
So laminated play sheets, right? Coaches have these laminated play sheets with all the plays on them, and they call plays into the headset or say things. So now I'm a coach and I'm covering my lips because I don't want you lip reading with my play sheet in this era where you could screenshot that, enlarge it, so you can see the names to all my plays, but do not read my lips here.
Read my lips.
I mean, shouldn't you be covering the play sheets with your lips? I mean, it makes no sense. It's like when Michael Vick way back when got busted because he had a water bottle that unscrewed. It was a fake water bottle, and he stashed his weed in this compartment of a fake water bottle. He got caught at airport security. And my line was, it would be smarter to hide a water bottle inside a giant bag of weed because they're looking for water at the airport security. You're hiding your weed in the one place that they're actually trying to find.
Oh my God. I think it'd be awesome if on the back of it, one of those little squares, because they have all the squares compartmentalized. Yes. I think one of the little squares was like Latin, and it said "suck my nut" on it or something like that. And if I can throw that out there, let the internet sleuths get on that one. Oh, hey, whoa, look at that one on the bottom there, the top right. Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm thinking of doing a thing. So I was at the Patriots Commanders joint practice a couple weeks ago, and Mike Vrabel, who I've known for a long time, there was a skirmish, and he dove in to the pile and got involved and got a bloody face.
I saw that.
And so I decided, because my sons and I have talked about this over the years, and I'm like, I want to do a hypothetical tournament of all the coaches fighting, and then do one for GMs also.
Okay.
And so I ran it by Vrabel, and his first reaction was, well, I mean, first of all, how many coaches have actually been in a fight? I was like, wow. So he's coming with the swag. And then he goes, and how many actually could fight? He goes, I think, it's a pretty small pool. So I'm thinking of doing this for the Athletic, and it's changed over the years, but this year I think I have my 4 number 1 seeds.
Okay, so Vrabel's absolutely
Vrabel's a number one seed. I believe that Dan Campbell is going to be a number 1 seed.
Number 1 seed.
Nobody wants a piece of Dan Campbell.
No.
I am going to put DeMeco Ryans as a number 1 seed.
Okay. I like it. Yep, I like it.
Middle linebacker in the NFL. And I believe, because we've lost like Gerard Mayo and Antonio Pierce, I believe we're going to do Aaron Glenn as my 4th guy.
Okay, that one I'd have to look. Who else was in consideration? Do we know who was in consideration for number 1 seed?
I mentioned this on social media one time, and one guy argued with me over like 42 tweets, and he claimed that Sean McDermott would beat everyone because he was a wrestler, an accomplished wrestler, and he's like, you don't understand leverage. He would get them on the ground, and I was like, dude, Dan Campbell or Gerard Mayo would murder Sean McDermott. Yes. And he's like, no, he would get him on the ground. He'd have leverage. So I'm going to ask Sean this, because I don't believe that Sean McDermott could beat up DeMeco Ryans. I just don't.
I don't believe it either.
Yeah, I think.
All right, let's go down through the team.
But no one wants Andy Reid, by the way. He's not going to win, but who wants that matchup?
Yeah. All right, let's just off the top of your head. So it's 32. You would have a 1 through 8 seed.
Right.
Let's see if we could assign them numbers really quick for what their seeds would be.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go by the schedule the first week. Okay, Schottenheimer.
I think Shotty's probably like a 5 seed,
I was going to go 5. Yeah. Sirianni.
He likes to fight, so I might make him a 4.
I was going to make him a 4 as well. Reed.
I think he's a 6, but the 3 that draws him does not want that.
Yeah, I was going to make him a 4. Just because his size,
yeah.
But the age too.
I think maybe a 4 just because no one wants to fight him.
Yeah, that could be true. Oh, I think this guy's a 2. Harbaugh.
Yeah, I think Jim's a 2.
Because he's psycho.
Yeah,
Jim's definitely.
Well, it's funny because I was with John Harbaugh during training camp, and I asked him to tell me the story, because there's this famous story where it's like a family Thanksgiving or something, and they start playing hoops in the back, and all the kids are involved, and it gets close at the end, and then all of a sudden Jim starts elbowing his niece, like legit elbowing his niece, and getting into psycho mode. And he said finally Jim, after being inappropriately competitive the last few points, is getting ready to win the game, and he's driving to the hoop, and John says finally I say screw it, and I just full on hit him hard and push him into these rose bush. But as he's falling in and getting scratched by thorns, he throws the ball up over his head and banks it in to win the game. He says, and then gets out of the bushes and goes up to his son and says, yeah, Michael, you're a winner. Or I don't know if his name's Michael, but it sounds like a really healthy. So yeah, I'm putting Jim Harbaugh as a 2. I think he's a 2.
He told us a story one time. It was him, his brother John, Tom Crean.
Oh yeah, Tom Crean,
married to his sister.
Yeah,
that they family vacation, all playing basketball, and he goes, "It got so competitive." He goes, I think he said John and him didn't talk for like 3 weeks. I'm like, I mean, come on, what are you guys doing? And this could be a good exercise for me too, to see if I can name every coach in the
right.
NFL. Okay, Bowles.
I covered Bowles as a player. In fact, I think I covered that. He was a Niner and he hurt his knee, and I think it might have been his last play. But Todd's a survivor. There was a lot of talk last year that he was going to get fired and they were going to promote Liam. And Todd's old, but Todd, I feel like Todd's got some. I think I'm going to make him a 3.
Okay, yeah, I was going to make him a 4, just because of age.
That's the zone.
Raheem Morris.
I think Ra's a 2. He's from Jersey.
Okay.
But the problem with Raheem is he's so likable. Like the guy that Raheem beats in the first round is going to be like, man, that was so cool fighting Raheem. I love that guy. He's great.
Let's go grab a beer. Yeah, I'll go with I'll go with 3. That's the 3. I was gonna go 3.
3's fine.
Okay, I got another 2 for you, Mike Tomlin.
Tomlin's a 2.
Tomlin's a 2.
Well, here's the thing. Mike Tomlin would give himself a speech in the mirror, and that would enhance his seed.
Exactly.
Because his speech would be so good.
Exactly. And then he'd look in the mirror and go, who the fuck you talking to?
That's right.
Let's go.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out. We want volunteers, not hostages. All right, Andy Reid, I'm kicking your ass.
Okay, I found a team that I don't know the coach. Jets.
Aaron Glenn.
Oh, that's it. It is Aaron Glenn. Yeah, I'll go 3 for Aaron Glenn.
I should have
done that.
Played corner.
You're gonna make him a 1. Wow.
He was
okay.
a sniper, man.
All right. I got my first 8.
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah. He's an 8.
I would have him fight Vrabel in the first round, but
God.
But I'm going to give
that'd
Vrabel
be a homicide.
I know. I'm going to give him a gift. I'm going to let him fight Brian Callahan, the Titans coach.
There you go.
Because he'll get up for it.
Oh God. Oh God. What's his name? Head coach of the Colts.
Shane Steichen.
Yeah, Steichen, the former offensive.
He's not a
I give him like
guy.
a 3 or 4.
I think he's a 4. Yeah.
Steichen's he's pretty fiery.
Yeah.
Pretty fiery. Canales.
Yeah, Dave Canales is tall.
Okay.
But I think he's got a little bit of a pretty boy thing going. I think I'm going to make him a 5.
I was going to make him a 6.
6 is fine.
Okay, Liam Cohn.
He's thicker than you think.
Is he Irish?
Yeah.
If he's Irish, they got to. I mean,
he's not
there's
Jewish.
nobody. There's
if you add
there's
an
nobody
age,
who's Irish. It should be higher than a 4.
Right.
I mean, that's who they are. You kidding me?
There's 2 things I can count on from my Irish relatives. 2 things that
I'm gonna make him a 4, just for the heck of it.
I think 4 is fine.
Daboll.
I think Daboll's at this stage of his career is probably a scrappy 6.
That's what I'm thinking. 6.
I love that we're doing this.
Yeah, Quinn.
By the way, this is going to live on YouTube, right?
Exactly.
So, because when I do my actual bracket,
yeah,
I'm going to have to send it to you. Dan Quinn is, I did text Quinn after the Vrabel thing, and I said, if you had also gotten in the pile, it would have been the greatest joint workout ever. And he said something like, I would have gotten my ass kicked. It's really hard to type this, but I know my place. like it killed him. I think Quinn's a solid 5.
I was going to give him a 5 too. I thought about 4, but then I thought
think he was a 4.
It was a well. I couldn't make him a 4 because nobody wears their hat backwards. It's over 40 gets a 4. You got to be a 5. It's like, bro, turn your hat around.
This has become a thing. The backwards hat thing. I'm just glad I'm not wearing one backwards.
Oh man. Okay, now God, I like this coach too, Gannon. For the Cardinals.
Yeah, he
seems like a 6 or 7.
No, I think
really.
I think if you put him and Steichen together, you'd go, I'd take Gannon.
Really?
I think so.
Oh man, okay.
So whatever Steichen is, I would put Gannon.
Okay. Why am I blanking on his name?
But maybe you make him a 6 just because he's the Cardinals.
Okay.
Could you, Tom, gun to your head, you can't drink beer for 2 weeks. Can you name 5 players on the Arizona Cardinals right now?
Murray.
I knew that. I knew you
McBride.
Get him.
Yep. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yep.
Connor. Benson.
Is Benson still on the Cardinals?
Benson's the backup running back.
You did it.
God, who's his safety?
All skilled players by the
Baker.
Oh yeah, Buda Baker.
Baker.
Okay, you did it.
Okay, there.
All right.
What's the head coach? The lefty quarterback for Boise. for the Saints?
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore, yeah.
He looks like
he's like a 7.
He looks like he's about 16 years old.
I'm sorry. I got to give it. Sorry.
I think he's a 7.
I mean, he's a quarterback. You're tough.
He's a 7.
But I'm giving you a 7. Zach Taylor.
He was a quarterback, a little bit older.
Yep.
I think he's a 7.
Okay, 7 sounds good. Stefanski.
Too pretty. Although he does have some NBA. Wasn't his dad like an NBA?
Oh, really?
GM or something, or front office guy?
I'm a big fan.
Larry Stefanski.
I think he's a good coach.
Yeah, he is a good coach. He's kind of a. I think he's just so attractive that I'm going to make him a 7. He doesn't want. He's like not. Kevin will be like not in the face. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm going to give him a 6 because it's beauty. Okay, Pete Carroll. Pete, I love you. You're an 8 just because you're. I mean,
he's going to be a hard out.
You're the youngest old coach I've ever seen in my life. You got more energy than I do.
Yeah, but you know what he's going to do? He's going to make DeMeco Ryans like earn every round.
Yeah, like if he ever gets a hold of you and starts chewing on your nose, forget about it. He'd be
and also like he would probably like inspire his opponent. You know,
this is true. He'd pump him up.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Hey, you just took me down, and that was really cool. How you adjusted, man.
Let's compete. Let's compete. All right, we've already said Vrabel, number 1 overall seed.
Yes,
number 1 overall seed.
No, I think Dan Campbell's the number 1 overall.
Do you?
Dude, Dan Campbell's a monster.
I know.
He's a mountain of a man.
I got to go defense over offense there. But
that's
okay. I could go Campbell.
Do we acknowledge that Dan Campbell is biting kneecaps and kicking?
He might.
He
actually might.
He said he would.
He actually might. Kyle.
Kyle's bigger than people think, and Kyle would have a plan, which I admire. Like, you know, like, by the way, Mike Shanahan, even though size would have been an issue, would have been Mike Shanahan could have fought.
Would Kyle script the first 15 punches?
Yes, he would.
Okay.
And by the way, he would not fake a punch because that's what you do. There'd be no gimmicks.
Exactly.
I think Kyle's a 6. Kyle's bigger. You know, he played college football for Texas.
Yeah.
Caught passes. I think Kyle's a 6.
Okay, I was going to make him a 5. Is Seahawks coach McDonald?
Yeah, he's bigger than you think. Yeah. He's kind of yoked.
And defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'm going to make him a 3.
Ooh, I was going to make him a 4, but okay, we'll go 3. I'm blanking on the Titans head coach.
Brian Callahan. I'm making him an 8, and he's fighting Vrabel in round 1.
Yeah, Callahan's
has to.
Sean Payton.
Sean Payton's older now. I think Sean Payton would also have a plan, and I think the plan would involve flopping and not getting beat up too badly. I think he's a 7.
Yeah, that absolutely. So we got Campbell, a 1, either the 1 overall seed or 2 overall seed.
Well, it's Campbell and Vrabel in the finals.
Yeah. Another guy that's very finely groomed, LaFleur.
Yeah. Now Kyle and LaFleur had a wrestling match one time.
Okay.
They were having fun. They were drinking some beers. There were a bunch of people.
Hard to believe.
And apparently it got kind of heated. LaFleur claims that he got the best of Kyle, but he does look a little prettier and more well-groomed. I think you said Kyle's a 5. I said he's a 6. I would make LaFleur 6.
Okay, very good. McVay.
I mean, I just think Sean just like wins every room he's in, and you know, he'd have a whole speech. Like
he might talk you into hitting yourself.
Yeah, like or just
check it out. It's gonna be a great idea.
You might want to hit yourself because you're just tired of the TED Talk. And Sean, by the way, Sean's the kind of guy who, like, you know,
you just knock yourself.
Sean's the kind of guy who, like, you know, he's on his 16th beer, and you're having like this stupid bro bonding moment, and then you forget, of course, and then like 2 years later, he's like, hey, remember when we were talking about, so it's like he remembered the conversation. Like it's I think Sean's gotta be I think he's gotta be a 6.
Yeah, I went 6 as well. I think we said D'Amico's a 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. John Harbaugh.
I think John Harbaugh is a little bit lower. He's, you know, I think he's got intensity because he's a Harbaugh, but he didn't play in the NFL like Jim.
Yeah.
And I think John Harbaugh would also stop. Jim, you'd have to probably knock unconscious to beat.
Jim would get that glazed look in his eyes, right?
Yeah.
That rabid look.
Yeah.
Like,
like he might have to literally kill Jim to win the fight.
The only way you get Jim off you is like take a T-bone and shake it in front of him. He might jump off you.
I think John's a 5.
Or if you give Jim like a glove and go, we're going to a baseball game, Jimmy. He'd go, oh, let's go to the baseball game.
That might be the only other way you could pitch him.
McDermott.
Apparently he's a 2, but that's only because this one guy on Twitter, like, I mean, it was the longest Twitter exchange I've ever had, I think. And by the way, it didn't. It only ended because I cried uncle. Like when you tapped out, I tapped out.
All right, McConnell.
McConnell.
Vikings.
Kevin O'Connell.
O'Connell, that's right. Okay.
Kevin O'Connell played quarterback in the NFL.
That's 2.
He's a tall guy and he's pretty.
Yeah.
So I think I got to make Kevin O'Connell a 6.
Okay. He was San Diego State, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I got that right. I don't know your name. Sorry, Kev. I got your school right.
I'm like, TJ McConnell's a coach exactly. In the NFL. He's scrappy.
I love TJ.
He went off in the playoffs.
He did great in
the
finals.
There was one point
he did
where
good
he was
in the
like
finals.
The only guy
did
who
good in the
score.
Eastern Conference finals. He was really good for him.
Yeah.
Last one, Ben Johnson.
I think Ben Johnson.
I'm going 7 for Ben.
I think Ben Johnson's he's not quite an 8, but he's definitely a 7.
So we got Vrabel, Campbell in the finals. I still think D'Amico is like.
Have you seen Dan Campbell in person?
I have not.
I think if you saw him in person, he's one of those guys, and you know this from playing in the NBA. There's some dudes who just like everything about him's big. The hands, the feet, the teeth, the head. Also Dan Campbell drinks like
the teeth.
He also drinks like 45 espresso shots like a day. Like he'd be so caffeinated. He needs that. Like I don't know.
I'm just saying if it's not those two,
D'Amico's the next guy.
D'Amico could be a guy that could sneak in there and catch a left hook on somebody. And
I think D'Amico. And now I think if Gerard Mayo and Antonio Pierce were still coaches, that they would be in that conversation. Now, I used to have GM seeds done, but I only have 3 number 1 seeds right now for GMs, and I have to figure out who it would be. My 3 number 1 seeds for GMs would be Jason Light, who is a big guy who played offensive line at Nebraska. Why am I blanking on GM?
Bro, you give me John Lynch.
John Lynch is obviously
psycho.
John Lynch is obviously a number 1 seed. He's a Hall of Fame safety. Yeah. And why am I blanking on my 3rd GM? Hold on, I have it in a text.
Okay,
I just have.
I love it.
Well, I texted
your
it
Fight
to Vrabel.
Club in a text.
I texted it to Vrabel because I was riffing. Dan Morgan, who was Dan Morgan, the Panthers
linebacker
GM.
for the Panthers.
Yeah, he was Luke Kuechly before Luke Kuechly.
Yes, he was.
He just happened to get hurt more.
Yeah,
he was He was one of those Miami guys. Dan Morgan and John Lynch are probably having that, and no one wants Dan Morgan. I mean, can you imagine some of the GMs like Howie or Elliott Wolf, and having to fight John Lynch or Dan Morgan?
I mean, they'd
be
3 spots.
Yeah, that is just
over.
That is like not even tenable.
Okay, now here's one. Grab one more.
Poles are big. Like Brad Holmes is kind of a big guy.
Yeah.
Poles
didn't Poles play like a lineman?
Did he? Okay, I might have to take a look at Poles.
Here's one for you. How about this? This is one to mull over. How about coaches in any sport all time?
Al Attles.
Because then Al Attles about Wes Unseld.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Unseld.
Mike Singletary.
Yeah, you know who's not?
I mean, you would, and then you could get into the hockey coaches too.
You know who's not in this tournament? Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr's not in the tournament. I was trying to think of baseball guys. What about Frank Robinson?
Frank Robinson. Now you have to think of their age.
A problem.
You have to think of their age when Al Attles was a young head coach.
Yes. Yeah.
And he wore the leisure suits.
Yes, he did.
Now, Al Attles did get in a fight that I saw as a kid. I don't know if you remember this, but I think, there was the famous fight where Rick Barry, no one would fight for
I think
him.
that was against the Bulls.
Yeah, no one got off the bench. But there was one with the Rockets where Calvin Murphy had Rick Barry.
That was a bad dude.
But
right there.
I remember one where Al Attles got into it, and I was like, I don't think anyone wants to fight Al Attles. I mean,
the man's nickname is the Destroyer.
Yeah.
I mean, that gives you a clue.
Yeah. Now,
he looks like a tough dude.
Who was a hockey coach? There got to be some hockey coaches that, you would.
Oh man, hockey coaches. I'm trying to think.
Oh, that's the Bowie Moon Age Daydream.
Yeah, the Moon Age Daydream. Yeah, the Craft Beer has the best nickname. I mean, the best beer names. They're incredible. They're incredible. Now, grab him that Pilsner too. It's on the second show.
How'd you know?
I set the Pilsners aside for Mike. I'd have to look more into hockey. Like if it's going to be like players, then I'll just take hockey players. I'll take the best hockey fighters.
Yeah, Mike
Singletary
Singletary is a great example.
Yeah.
Now, Mike Singletary, I think he's ready because in his first game as an NFL head coach, he dropped trow.
Yes, he did.
He pulled down his pants in the locker room.
Yep.
That is an aggressive way to start. I was at that game.
Were you really?
Yeah, it was the can't win with him. It was
can't do it.
He kicked Vernon Davis off the field. He pulled down his pants.
That's right.
Yeah, that was just game one. And then he was wearing the shades at night, and it was not because the future was so bright that he had to wear shades. But he was rocking. Yeah, let's think of. But I'm telling you,
Dicka.
Dick
could be a good.
Dan Campbell, I'm telling you, is a large man. Now, the other time I had this riff was I was at the draft when they took Pearsall last year, and afterwards on the podium, someone asked Kyle who Pearsall reminded him of, and he kind of said, "Well, I probably shouldn't say this, but me." Now, Kyle has a good sense of humor. Sometimes I'm going to give Kyle the benefit of the doubt that he was half joking.
Yeah.
But in my column the next day, the Chronicle, I just wrote respectfully, dude. And then I made a list of recent coaches and GMs that I would accept that for a first round pick that I would accept that from. And John Lynch is obviously on that list.
Yeah.
D'Amico, Gerard Mayo at the time. Dan Campbell, no, because first round pick, but I was like, if John Lynch says this guy reminds me of me as a player and we just took him in the first round, I'm like, go Niners. That's a great pick. Kyle was like the guy with the big shoulder pads, playing slot receiver at Texas. Just, thank you.
Yeah, that is a collaboration between Fieldwork and Wondrous.
And by the way,
Fieldwork's fantastic. That's
where
where we were yesterday, enjoying some of their fine products.
You got to come up to Berryessa up my way in Yolo County. It is wonderful beers. You will love it. And they have an outdoor situation and bands.
I love outdoor situations.
Yeah, and you may have to sleep in Davis that night, but we got you covered.
Okay.
We got a puppy.
We'll discuss that.
Yeah, you can bring your dog. It'll be fun.
Okay, a couple more NFL things. I do want to. I got to get to some questions about your book, which again I really enjoyed reading. And the book to me was cool because, I'll get to that in a minute. Because if I get going down that path, I'm going to forget what I'm going to ask.
You can do an indefinite amount of talking about my book.
No, I know. I figured you'd be. I figured you'd be okay.
The
with
why
that.
is everything. It's available everywhere. The why is everything. A story of football rivalry and revolution.
Was Rodgers Pittsburgh's first choice? Was Pittsburgh's Rodgers' first choice? Or were they both at the bar at 1:59 and looked at each other and went, you
sound like you say that with some authority, Listen, so this is how I believe it went down. Rodgers was just kind of, I don't want to say confused, but Rodgers was just in a weird, he kind of had his soul stolen from him a little bit. And I know he's not always a very sympathetic figure lately since he's figured out the secrets of the universe and is eager to tell everybody. But to be charitable to him, he's one of the greatest of all time. He went to the Jets. He tore his Achilles in the fourth play. It turned out Woody Johnson, who, as you learned in my story in The Athletic last year that I did with Zach Rosenblatt and Diana Rossini, he's got his teenage sons looking at Madden ratings and nixing trades. I mean, it's just it was just like it was a hard 2 years for him, and he's older, and I think he was just like, I don't know, man. I only want to go to like a good situation. Now he's known Kevin O'Connell for a long time, or as you know him, Kevin McConnell, and they were talking. And if you're Kevin O'Connell, you're like, shit. The Vikings almost, had a chance last year, but Darnold kind of pooped the bed at the end. We've got JJ McCarthy, but we don't know anything. He was hurt all year. I'm built to win now. Maybe I should just go get Aaron, keep JJ on ice for a year, and it was very tempting. So they were talking. So I think Aaron's first choice was that.
Yep.
The Steelers. Yeah, it wasn't so much that he was their first choice. It wasn't so much that it was 1:59 at the bar. It was 10 p.m. at the bar, but like they showed up there with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and immediately were like, you know what, go leave with that guy. I'm not that into you. So they were gone. Now they were kind of looking around the bar, waiting for some other women to come by, and there were just nobody else. And so at like 10 p.m., they were like, okay, we want Aaron. And Aaron was like, okay, cool. I'll get back to you in like 4 months.
Yeah.
But I'll probably do it. And so they didn't have a plan B, and Aaron could get away with that because of that. They basically, there was no or else. Like, Aaron, you've kept us waiting for months and months. We have to know or else. And he was like, oh, or you're going to have Mason Rudolph be your quarterback. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll still wait. And so I wrote about it. I went and saw Aaron in training camp. He said that he and Tomlin had this, magical connection, and they were talking the whole time, which sounds right. And, it'll be really interesting. But no, I think the Vikings were his first choice.
You got it. It's weird too, because people forget sometimes that Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. First ballot Hall of Famer.
Amazing.
As far as arm talent is concerned, he's probably, right up there with Dan Marino.
Yeah.
But it was like, and it all started with him. It wasn't just the COVID stuff, is when he said, yes, I'm immunized. And after that, it was like, just shut the fuck up. Just stop playing with us and just answer the question. We know you think you're the smartest guy in the room, but the problem is, if you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you're never the smartest guy in the room. And then it just kept rolling downhill. Because before that,
it had some Kyrie vibes.
Yeah, it did. But before that, he seemed to me like, it could be difficult and prickly sometimes, but it wasn't a huge deal. But then when he wanted to share his secrets of the universe all the time, I was like, okay, that's enough. I don't really, it's okay. I don't need to hear your opinion on this.
My biggest thing that really messed with my head, I'm going to be honest with you, because, I went to Cal and I went to all those Grateful Dead shows in the 80s and stuff. But whenever people were like, oh, are you a hippie? I'm like, no, I just love showering and industriousness too much. So I'm really not. I like being around hippies when I saw the Grateful Dead and stuff. But and showering's a big, I overshower. I really love to shower. So when I heard about the darkness retreat, I was like, so wait, you have to poop, hope that you're pooping somewhere that is not a mess, and then you have to figure out how to clean up from that. And I don't want to be that enlightened that I'm not very clean after, you're
no go on
after
that.
A couple hours.
Yeah, but though they could blindfold you and you can find your asshole. It's not like, oh, it's dark. Where's my asshole?
You could find the asshole.
It's always right there.
But then are you disposing of the
sit on something?
Paper?
There's got to be a toilet in the room.
Yeah, you got to.
Can't you just find it and sit on it?
What if you get it scraped up on the? I don't know, man.
Just because it's dark doesn't mean you're a year and a half now. You know what you're doing still.
I don't really.
I have faith in you, Mike. I think you could find a toilet in the dark.
I think my wife says this about me. She goes, you are really, really great at a few things and know it, but you're also very at peace with the fact that you're really, really incompetent and bad at many things, and you don't even try. And I'm like, that's very well stated. So it's not like I'm cocky. I just know, I know if it's writing, I'm pretty good at that. I could do that. But if it's anything mechanical, I'm like, can we call someone? Because I can't do it. Assembling a kid's toy. I might be the worst person at that's ever existed.
I'm okay at following, and it's funny because I never was growing up good at following orders or instructions. I always seem to screw those up somehow. But I'm pretty good at cooking and following cooking instructions, and I'm pretty good at following instructions on how to build stuff. If I have to go off script a little bit, toast. I'm absolutely toast. My son can do it. My dad could do it. Brother could do it a little bit. Somehow it just leapfrogged me. That gene leapfrogged me. Because if there's a screw missing, I'm like, okay, fucking.
But it turns out you were really good at playing basketball.
Thank God.
Broadcasting and drinking beer.
Yes, I would like
among other things.
I would like to say elite at drinking beer.
Elite.
So, like Joe Flacco's elite at quarterbacking. All right, let's get into the book a little bit. Because here's why I love the book so much. Because throughout my career as a broadcaster, when I'm interviewing somebody, especially a coach, whether it be Steve or Kyle or whoever, I'm not so concerned with the answer or the results. I want to know the process. What led you to that decision to call that? I wanted to ask him why he decided to take the ball first in the Super Bowl
against
the Chiefs. And it was because the defense was tired. And I was like, I get it, but I still, to me, you always take a second. But that's fine. That's what I want to know. What is your process leading to that? Because the results you can call a shitty play, it could turn out great. You could turn it vice versa. That's what I love about your book, is like it kind of gets down to what their thought process is and how they go about looking at football and creating stuff. When did you come up with the idea? And the access you had was phenomenal as well. And I just love to see their process and how it plays out.
Well, so it kind of started, back in the day when Mike Shanahan became the 49er offensive coordinator under George Seifert in 1992. He was this embattled guy. He'd been chewed up and spit out as the Raiders head coach, and then as a Broncos coordinator the second time. Dan Reeves said he was disloyal, which basically meant John Elway and Mike Shanahan were running the offense without Dan Reeves' blessing in his mind, and history would show that they should, because they were really good at it. But he shows up, and he kind of was this embattled guy, and Steve Young was kind of this embattled guy because he wasn't Joe, and they'd had a rough year in 91, and together they did incredible things, culminating in that epic Super Bowl 29 victory. Then Mike goes on to Denver and creates Outside Zone and blah, blah, blah. So I'd always kind of watched that. And I remember Steve telling me at the time, like, bro, what Mike Shanahan does is crazy. Every week he takes apart the opponent's scheme, finds out their rules, figures out how to do something to manipulate it, messes with them. Then he tells us all week, and especially right before the game, the night before, how we're going to take them apart. It's almost a spiteful thing. Like, these people don't know what we're about to do to them. They think they can do this. Watch, we're going to expose them. He goes, he makes it super personal with the opposing coordinator or coach. And then he's a savage. And so I always kind of, knew that. I covered Mike really closely. And then as Kyle became a young coordinator at Houston and started doing some pretty cool things, I was very invested, because I'd known Kyle since he was a teenager. And I was like, whoa, Kyle's kind of taken this to another level. And, people in football knew that, and then this became kind of a crew that they were all under Mike Shanahan in Washington in the 2010s, early 2010s. And then they had that crazy RG3 year where they changed their whole offense and ran out of the pistol and, took the league by storm. And so I got to know the crew really well. And I was like, whoa, these people they're different. They see it differently. They, there was this whole meathead culture of coaching. It was like, just do it because it works. We don't, don't ask us why. We're just, you're not supposed to think.
And
right?
The players you're talking about, the players now want to know why.
Yeah.
And back then it was just like, because I told you so. Yes. It's like parenting.
And I don't think a lot of those coaches knew why. That Bill Walsh did it this way, so we do it this way. Yep. And their whole ethos were this crew, Kyle and McVay and LaFleur and McDaniel and Raheem. Yep. They were like, no. Everything we do is part of an ecosystem that has a purpose with adjustments off of it. We want to explain it to you so you buy in. And if we don't know why it's not in, and if you don't know why, you're not doing it. So, and that whole innovation on the fly and just that whole mindset. And so I kind of knew for a while that this was a thing. And I remember, like, Mike McDaniel, I was taping way back when, it's like maybe 2018, when nobody knew him. And, I just knew there was something there. And then during the lockdown after COVID, I just had a bunch of time, and NFL Network didn't renew my contract. And I was like, I think it's time for me to wrap my arms around this. And Mike Shanahan was amazing. And because I was spending a bunch of time with Mike Shanahan, especially in 2022, in real time, I got to hear him talk about Brock Purdy, like when he was in minicamp. And it's crazy, because Mike Shanahan, I would ask about Trey Lance or Jimmy, and he'd be like, hey, this guy Brock Purdy. And he was like, Mike Shanahan has not lost it. He was on it. And there's a chapter in the book called You Don't Let Him Out. And that's in Chicago the day before Trey Lance's first game as the starting quarterback in 2022. I go to visit Mike Shanahan in his hotel room in Chicago, and he brings me in, and we're sitting there, and I'm asking about Trey, and he pivots again to Purdy, and he says, when you have a guy like that in your building, you don't let him out. And I'm thinking, like, are we talking about Brock Purdy? Like, he's the third string quarterback. He was the 262nd pick in the draft, and apparently he was on it before most.
Yeah, it was interesting because in the book at one point, the players kind of started transitioning into wanting to know why. And the one guy that you highlighted was the guy for the tight end for the Redskins at the time, Chris Cooley.
Yes.
And every time I think of Chris Cooley,
He's your kind of guy.
I think of Led Zeppelin. Keep it Cooley, baby. Every time I think of Chris Cooley, Led Zeppelin.
Chris Cooley's your kind of guy. And Chris Cooley and I, I'm not ashamed to admit on this, public forum,
whatever the hell this is,
that we have Chris Cooley and I and some others, but especially Chris Cooley and I, are responsible for some of the greatest prank calls in NFL history involving multiple teams, coaches, players. We have fooled people. This is the era, before it's really hard to do prank calls now. No one gets their phone and there's caller ID and stuff. But we had so many people convinced that the Broncos were trading for Carson Palmer when he was on the Bengals that John Fox later told us that he, John Elway, and all their personnel people had to have a meeting to discuss the potential trade that we also had people on the Bengals believing was possibly happening because we just kept calling as someone from the other side. We did so much damage, and usually involving large quantities of alcohol, often at his home then in Virginia, way out in the boonies. But Chris Cooley, we still have prank calls going on former NFL players that don't know that the prank, it still hasn't been revealed to them. Like, there's a former offensive lineman in the NFL who thinks he was offered a job twice by a general manager to join a team's coaching staff. He thinks that that's happened, and he still doesn't know. Chris Cooley wanted us to rent out like a WeWork office, fly him to the city, pick him up, have someone pick him up at the airport, and drive him to the WeWork office for a job interview where Chris Cooley and I would be sitting there going,
"Good Lord,
gotcha!" Yeah, it's very interesting.
That is elaborate.
Anyway, back to
that's elaborate.
It really is.
Holy! Now, was that your best one? The Bronco one? Okay, what was your best prank?
Well, there's the worst and the best.
Okay, give us the worst and the best.
One of the great pranks was we got Chris Cooley and I was with Brent Selleck and some Eagles day drinking between training camp 2-a-day practices in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And we, I think someone was holding out Kevin Boss or somebody on the Giants, and we pranked Chris Cooley and convinced him that he'd been traded for Kevin Boss. And it was a very intricate thing, but he said that he was on to us when the person calling, I guess it was Jerry or whoever the Giants GM was supposed to be, told him, "We think you're the best tight end in the division." He goes, "That's when I knew it was a lie. Nobody thinks I'm the best tight end in the division." But anyway, the best one and the worst one, because it was brutal, was we were very drunk late at night at Cooley's house.
That's a theme here.
And we were, we called up a former NFL star who at the time was broadcasting, I think still is, and said that we were Fred Godelli. Cooley did it. He said he was Fred Godelli from ESPN or ABC, and that John Gruden, it was a secret, but was going to come back into coaching, and they needed someone to replace him on Monday Night Football, and that we wanted this person. And it was a voicemail, and we forgot because there were so many calls, including, I think we called Jason Campbell as the ghost of Al Davis. Like, it got off the rails. So the next morning, Cooley and I were sitting there just hungover, trying to eat like some greasy food and drinking water up on the stools, and his phone rings, and he goes, "Oh, it's said former NFL player," and it all came back to us. And I had to watch as Cooley said, "Hey, dude, because he called back thinking it was Fred Gaudelli to accept the job, and he called back and said, "Hey, dude, it's Cooley," and then the guy goes, "Oh yeah, I knew," and like it was painful because he did not know his dream was crushed.
God
so that was a
dang.
good one, but also we're going to hell.
You guys are harsh.
It was. I think it was.
I'm gonna guess alcohol had something to do with just about every
alcohol
one
had
of
something to
these.
do with that one.
Yeah,
that was bad.
That one probably.
Okay, no.
everyone.
Here's the best one. Okay, I'll tell you the best one.
Okay.
So you know who Jay Feely is? He was the longtime NFL kicker. Do you know who AJ Feely is? He was a
quarterback
in the NFL who got a big contract at one point with the Eagles. Well, AJ Feely and Jay Feely. One is Feely with an E at the L-E-Y. One is L-Y. Well, we started this thing that went on for a period of years where every time one of them would be in the news, we'd call the other as though he was him. In other words, Jay Feely missed a game-winning field goal. We'd call AJ Feely and go, "Dude, I can't believe you missed that field goal." And then if AJ Feely, threw an interception, or Jay Feely said something political, and we'd call, and it was a long, protracted thing to the point where at one point, I think it was AJ Feely was yelling on the other line. I could hear going, "I'm AJ Feely. I'm a quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. That's Jay Feely you're thinking of. He's a kicker." And so finally I get a text one night, and it's from a casino in Vegas, and it's Chris Cooley standing next to AJ Feely, who's flipping off the camera. And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "I had to tell him, dude. We were at the craps table." So I think AJ Feely now knows, but I don't know if Jay Feely knows. So hopefully, Jay, this is the big reveal. We had an AJ Feely, Jay Feely. Because one thing about me is I will stick to the bit. You can ask people.
Bro, you are a menace.
I will stick to the bit.
Just a menace.
I will stick to a bit longer than anyone ever. And we just stuck to the bit.
Man, that is insane.
Yeah, that's our masterpiece.
So let me ask you, because I wanted to go back to the book. I wanted to ask you what you learned about the coaches that you covered that maybe you didn't know going into writing the book.
That's a great one. Well, one thing I learned is that everyone just likes Raheem. He
seemed like a really likable guy.
There's a chapter in there called Enemy Friends, which comes from a quote from Raheem about Sean and Kyle, which, enemy first, probably for a reason. But, Kyle and Raheem are like best friends. Like, they even got arrested together, and that was Kyle rushing to Raheem's defense for what he felt was racial profiling, which, as McDaniel tells it, it was as if Kyle discovered that racial profiling existed in that moment and was asking for badge numbers. But that's when they were very young. But like Kyle and Raheem are like legit best friends. But then Raheem went with Sean and helped Sean beat Kyle and win a Super Bowl. And Raheem and Sean are also very close. And Matt LaFleur loves Raheem and Mike McDaniel loves Raheem. So there's all these rivalries, but like the one constant is that everyone loves Raheem. And there's one thing that got cut out of the book that I really loved, which is a story I'll tell, which Raheem had been the young head coach of the Buccaneers following John Gruden, had one good year with Josh Freeman as his quarterback, but then got fired after year 3, and then rebuilt his career first on Mike Shanahan's staff on Kyle's recommendation. He showed up as the defensive backs coach. And so very early on, they were having drinks at Matt LaFleur's house. And Matt LaFleur's wife, Bree, is really funny. She's kind of this spunky Midwestern woman. And Raheem, I think they were at Raheem's house. And Raheem, the LaFleurs came over. There was a whole group of them. And Raheem handed her a beer in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers cup. And she took a few sips and she goes, if we work for the Redskins, why are we drinking out of a Tampa Bay Buccaneers cup? And he goes, "Because they made me rich, bitch." And everybody cracked up. And like only Raheem Morris could get away with, dropping the B word on a woman he didn't know that well. And like the story's still being told lovingly by Matt LaFleur. Like it was this great moment. They made me rich, bitch.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God. So yeah, that's one thing I learned. Everyone loves Raw. They're all still trying to please Kyle. Like Kyle is the OG and the one that they still think is on the highest level. And they all have swag, and they all think they're good. And they all, McDaniel, there's a whole chapter called The Liberation of Mike McDaniel about him trying to get out of get out from under his thumb. But in the end, there's a part of them all that is kind of like, I got to show Kyle that I'm worthy. And Kyle's the only one who's like, yeah, fuck those guys. They all stole my offense, except Raheem, who knows how to defend it. And, God bless them all, but I should have kept them all. Like, it infuriates me. So.
Well, it's funny, too, because the one person that I wouldn't say go into detail in the book, but he is part of the book, is Saleh.
Yeah.
He was attached to LaFleur, I believe, right? Him and LaFleur were buddies. So he's kind of part of that crew, too.
Yeah, no, Saleh is for sure. In fact, Saleh would have been a much bigger part of the book if Aaron Rodgers didn't tear his Achilles, honestly, because that season was going to be big.
I was at that game.
And,
yeah, I was like, yeah.
Was that you with
the Jets?
You with your
buddy?
Oh. Was that you with your buddies on one of your,
yeah,
because I saw you guys, where was that, in Minnesota or somewhere?
Yeah, that trip was Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
To
I saw
New York.
I might have saw you in Pittsburgh.
Last year was Minnesota.
Yeah.
Last year was Minnesota and Niners.
Yeah.
And Alabama, Wisconsin, Texas, and
that was great.
They played Michigan, so yeah. This year's New Orleans.
Yeah, it seems like a really wholesome experience, that trip.
Absolutely.
You and some of your boys,
absolutely,
going around to football games, probably having a few, iced teas.
Cocktails, absolutely. Minnesota, Jim Peterson was there. Played golf with him a couple of times.
Peterson,
my boy.
Jim Peterson was a 6'10".
Yep.
Backup 4 who had a nice career.
Backup 4, backup 5. Yeah, remember he played
5.
He went to the finals with the Rockets.
Yeah,
when they had the Twin Towers.
Where did Jim Peterson go to college?
Minnesota.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He's a golden gopher.
He's
a golden gopher. Yeah. No, but it is amazing.
He's had a nice career
to see all those guys on the same staff of the Redskins that have had the success that they had. Kyle's gone to 2 Super Bowls. McVay's won a Super Bowl. LaFleur doesn't quite got there, but he has them on the rise. They consistently
went to the championship game 2 of his first 3 years.
Yep, exactly.
First 2 years.
Yeah, Saleh hasn't had the success as a head coach, but I mean, I hope he gets another shot at some point.
I think he will.
And McDaniels, not sure how that's going to go there. Miami seems like a Ferrari that if you get it in the snow just a little bit, it's going to go, I'm breaking down.
Right now, it seems like a Ferrari that a couple of the 15-year-old kids took out for a joyride.
Yep.
Even though the dad, kind of, watched them leave the house knowing they were going to do it. So I think Mike needs to, get control of the Ferrari.
Yeah. And we'll see how Raheem does this year. I mean, I think Penix is going to be an upgrade. Cousins really struggled last year. Drake London was incredible at the end of last year. Bijan Robinson.
Well,
they drafted about 9 defensive ends, so you think they'd be able to find a pass rush.
And just so you know how Raheem is, the paperback's about to come out of The Why Is Everything, a story of football, rivalry, and revolution, available wherever books are sold. The paperback, I got to write an extra chapter for the paperback, and it was about last season. And I put in there's a text from Raheem. They came really close to making the playoffs at the end with Penix, and they just fell short. I think they went 8-9, 9-8, but they just fell a game short. And I texted him afterwards and tried to say something reasonably upbeat, and his return text was "fuck." I just think for him it was not an inspiring, hey, we almost made it. So I think they're going to win that division this year, and Raheem's gonna have a big breakthrough. And then there's also a funny thing in the paperback chapter that everyone will laugh at the very end about Saleh trying to mess with Kyle before the Jets-Niners opener, and it not working out for Saleh.
Did not work out.
But it's a funny. I think people will like it.
Do you know Baker Mayfield much?
Not much. I know him some. I was very close to Hugh Jackson, and they didn't get off on a great foot, and I thought Baker was kind of being a little bit of a punk at the time. Yeah. Oh, I think we have a human.
There's my granddaughter, Camila.
Oh my gosh.
Baby Kai's here.
Baby Kai's here? When do you have him come out here? Oh, okay. We'll be done in a minute, okay?
That's way
That's
more.
Camila.
That's way more important than
my oldest
this
grandchild.
conversation. How many grandchildren do you
Two.
have?
Kai's one about baby Kai. You're going to see baby Kai here in a second.
That's amazing.
So Camila's 5. And where's Kai? Here comes Kai. Kai's just rolling down the street. What's up, buddy? How are you? Oh, you shy now?
Shy Kai?
Are you shy now? Huh? Hi, buddy.
Is Grandpa silly?
And that's Elisa.
Hi, Elisa.
That's Walker's wife.
Oh, nice. Hi.
All right, let me ask you a couple questions and we'll let you roll on out of here. Favorite athlete growing up?
Well, it was Montana because I was born in San Francisco and grew up in LA, and Kirk can attest to this. I was like the only Niner Warrior.
You were a Dolphin
in the school, and I got abused, and including by Steve.
Yep.
So
he's still a Ram fan.
He knows I was right though about the Warriors. He's admitted that since.
Of course he has now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. So,
because Steve was a Laker fan, I was a Laker fan.
I mean, I love that. I love Magic, but like I thought, a combination of the Niners San Francisco had never won anything, and just the Magic. And then I got to know Joe, and they say don't meet your heroes, but we were doing tequila shots. I was a rookie beat writer, and it only got better. So I told Joe this years after he retired, because if you go back and you trace, and this is really an instructive thing I learned about football. Like when you have a franchise quarterback, when you have an all-time great quarterback, it changes everything. But if you go back and you trace all the people in the organization who fanned out and became, legit people in coaching and front office and every element of football, from those 49er teams, you're like, wow. And I said, we're having drinks one time, and I go, you know what, bro? I rode your coattails too. I'm not too proud to admit it. Like you think if I was covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of that era, I would have got to Sports Illustrated? No chance. So like I rode the Joe Montana wave as well as anyone. But I think it was Montana.
Craziest. Let me phrase it properly. I don't want to say craziest because you've had a lot of crazies. Crazy nights, crazy interviews, crazy interactions. Take your top crazy in the NFL versus Rodman.
Yeah, that's a great. Obviously, Rodman.
Because Rodman's on a whole different planet.
I mean, we met on a 4-day, 3-state bender with no sleep, and
shocker, a bender with Rodman.
I wrote my SI cover story. There were wild birds, exotic birds making noises, but also Rodman and a stripper friend making noises. I was writing in real time, and we had dinner in a gay bar. So like it was, that was
just a typical night, baby.
So like, okay, so my NFL crazies, and I do always find the crazies, really close with Andre Rison.
Bad Moon Rising.
And I once wrote that rolling with Rison was the closest thing to stepping inside a gangsta rap video from that era. Like it was probably stuff I shouldn't have been doing because other people probably had guns or people I was with, but like he was crazy. Barry Switzer, very close to Barry Switzer. Crazy.
Really?
Oh, crazy, but
lovable
crazy. I'm trying to think if there's ever been Chris Cooley's pretty crazy, but
keep it cool, baby.
I think Rodman, NBA, you can just get away with more.
Yeah.
It's not, they always tell this story, Rodman and his, friends from Oklahoma, the guys that he, grew up with after he got adopted when he was in junior college. But that they always tell a story. So Chuck Daly, as legend, and you know how he dressed with the Italian
immaculate
suits and the beautiful hair. And he was the closest thing Rodman had to a father figure in this life. Like Chuck Daly, Rodman loved Chuck Daly. That was like whatever Chuck Daly says is gold. Well, they always tell the story that they were staying during the playoffs in one of those must have been like a Hyatt Regency, one of those like indoor atrium hotels where you could see down into the thing, and they were staying on a very high floor, and Chuck Daly was standing down there in the atrium, and Rodman's buddies somehow decided it would be a good idea to take a giant tub of ice water and dump it over the top. And they doused Chuck Daly from like 20 floors above. And he was like, "Ah, I'm going to find out who did this." And I don't know if he ever found out, but like, no one in the NFL would ever do that to, like, you know,
to that Bill Walsh or something.
It would just not happen in the NFL. You'd be too scared of getting cut. And here's Rodman, like the 8th guy on the team or the 7th guy at the time, and somehow I don't know if he sanctioned it, but like, yeah, I mean, is LeBron James throughout his career, has he been really scared of, like, if he says something that's perceived as critical, or they're gonna get rid of him? You better watch out, man.
All right, favorite meal growing up. If you knew your mom was cooking this, you couldn't wait to get to the dinner table.
I mean, well, first of all, any Mexican food ever at all times, including Campo's famous burritos in LA. If I knew my mom was cooking this, now my mom's a really, really good cook, but we had some weird stuff in our rotation growing up because my dad was like really early health food kick.
Oh, really?
My dad did some weird stuff. Like, my dad had been a little bit overweight growing up and then has been super thin his whole life. He's 6'4", really fit, works out, runs, played basketball into his 70s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my dad, he did some weird stuff. Like, he decided we'd go on these camping trips every summer, always north, always Bay Area, and then as far north as Canada. And my younger sister and I would be in the back seat, and my dad would be in the front, and my mom would be in the front, my dad would be driving. And my dad decided, like, when we were pretty young, hey, this 3 meal a day thing, it was very like grown up, like 3 meals a day is ridiculous. We're going to we'll have breakfast and then we'll have a dinner, but like, we're just going to kind of fudge lunch, which totally makes sense when you're an adult, but like not when you're 7 and 4. So my sister and I were like, what do you mean? Like, we can't go to a McDonald's drive? Like, what's going on? And I remember my mom, like, taking little, this healthy yogurt in the 70s, like taking little spoons and handing it back to us in the back seat so we can like get something in our stomach. So my mom was a really good cook, and she would make like lasagna that rocked, that was, dope, and some really good like chicken dishes, but also like tongue was in the rotation, not like every week, but like beef tongue when I was a kid. Now
that is not a 70s. That's later on.
Seeing the taste buds, that was kind of freaky, there'd be like meatloaf would get in, like sloppy joes. I'd be fired up, but like
love sloppy joes.
Joes.
Incredible.
But like meatloaf would be in the rotation. So I don't know. I think I just think any Mexican food ever. Now when I try to do the 4 number 1 seeds in food by country, and my wife and I debate this a lot, but I mean, Mexico is obviously a number 1 seed. Yep. I think Japan is a number 1 seed because of sushi. I just am so.
Well, I don't know if you can have 4 number 1 seeds though, because you can't come up with like
Italy.
6. Well, Italy's a number 1.
Italy's a 1. Mexico's
those are
one.
my 2. That's one of my 2.
And I think the other ones in the combo, I think you got Japan. You got.
But what is Japan? Sushi and what else?
I don't care.
It's just fish. I can get fish anywhere.
And then I think the U.S., especially with California influences, but I think USA.
Yeah, but what does U.S. do that isn't inspired by another country?
Well,
I was thinking about that.
It's inspired by, but like what we've done to Mediterranean, our takes on Mexican and California, certainly. I would say cheeseburgers, like our biggest.
Yeah, sure, but healthy.
Like that's the biggest.
But thing. Healthy California cuisine is with the salads and all that is pretty damn strong. But yeah, it is all inspired. Thailand would be the other one I'd put in that conversation. Thai food. I'd say I'd go India. India's also love Indian food, but I think it's Mexico and Italy probably. Okay, if you had to give up one, Mexican food or Italian food, what would you give up? Italian food. Would you really? Yeah, I think I would too. I think a pizza would kill me to give up. I mean, but I ain't giving up salsa and burritos and carne asada, and I can't do it. I kind of just almost feel like I'm from Mexico, like just being from LA and stuff. Like, there's a story where in the 2014 World Cup, we were in a bar. We took our first
family.
The stories you tell seem to surround bars quite a bit.
Well, this was with my family because
that.
it was the only time. It was our only family trip to Europe, and my daughter had just graduated high school, and we were in Rome. So we went to a bar to watch Mexico Netherlands. Great game, and Mexico started out, I think, with a 1-0 lead and lost on a controversial PK, lost 2-1. But in the bar, there were a lot of fans for the Netherlands and not a lot of Mexico fans. And there was another couple there from New Jersey that my wife was kind of making conversation with while my kids and I were very locked in on the game. And I think something happened against Mexico, and we were very upset, my kids and I, and they were like, "Oh, is your husband Mexican?" And my wife's like, "No." And I was like, "Well, I'm Californian, so yeah." Like, I mean, to me, it's the same.
Please tell me when you were in Rome, at least once you went in Rome.
No,
you gotta do that once, don't you?
I don't know. I probably, because I do love the dad jokes.
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid stuff.
I mean, I think like the question is, like, when you're in Denver, do you order a Denver omelet?
Never thought about that. I don't think I ever have.
You might,
because I don't like Denver omelets.
I don't either. But
yeah, I'm not a Denver omelet.
But would you do it?
No. I'd be too busy at the craft to get a great craft beer in Denver.
Would you?
Fantastic.
Would you insist on Swiss cheese in Switzerland? Like, it's like, how far do you go?
I insist on Swiss cheese everywhere.
Swiss cheese.
That's my favorite cheese.
It's great cheese.
Yeah, fewer calories, get the holes.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it anyway. Max
cheese.
says no to Swiss cheese. Really? What cheese you going? Cheddar.
Cheddar's amazing.
Cheddar's good too.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Lumberjack's
I mean,
amazing.
look, cheese is good.
Cheese is
okay.
great.
Let's all agree cheese is good.
I'd be a really
like
bad
the
vegan.
worst cheese is still fine.
Well,
but Swiss to me,
the worst cheese is still fine. But like my buddy Andy, who I grew up with, so his mom would like to, have some more exotic food in the house, and he was the third of 3 boys, and we all would like to skip school once in a while when we were at elementary school and pretend we're sick. But, he was the third kid, so she was kind of onto him.
Oh.
And so if he pretended he was sick, it wouldn't work. So what he would do is he would go in the refrigerator, and she had something called Limburger cheese.
Limburger.
Which is like makes blue cheese seem pungent. And
yes,
it was so disgusting.
Yes.
And we were like 9 years old. So he would literally go eat some Limburger cheese and then throw up. And the mom would think, oh, he's sick. He threw up. So that's the commitment level he would go to stay home from school.
See, my mom, my dad took care.
Do you know all the cheeses?
Do you know all the cheese? I was just thinking the same thing. The bit Kruger and Radnich did. Do you know Havarti? Yeah, yeah. We got a cheese consigliere to come in.
I know a lot of cheeses. My wife will go appetizer cheese.
Yeah.
With like, this is how bad my wife is. So
blue cheese, fantastic.
So like so all the kids come home. It's right when the Rudy Gobert thing's happening. Like the world's about to shut down.
Yep.
And my daughter, who at the time was at Cal or had graduated, I think Cal, my daughter, my oldest, and I were like, okay, not to be freaks, but like, we need to go to the store right now and start loading up on some stuff. Should have been toilet paper. We didn't know. But like, we were like, we need to start getting supplies in case like they do a real lockdown for weeks, right? So we are like, okay, so we get in full lockdown. My wife goes, we're getting ready to get out the door, and she's like, hey, can you get some like brie and some appetizer cheese? I'm like, we're getting like, canned goods and, stuff that like saves for weeks. No, we're not getting appetizer cheese. But that was my wife's first impulse. Like, tomorrow we might need like a good chambray.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
She loves her cheese.
Loading up on cheeses. Big fan of Havarti too.
Big cheese.
It was fantastic.
How do you feel about Velveeta? That's not really cheese.
That to me, Velveeta is only for macaroni, and it's only when you're college or younger. College, you got to be hungover or drunk.
Yeah, and
then when you're younger, your mom makes it for you. You're
Does
like
melt?
Cool with these.
Does Velveeta even melt, or is it so processed?
Fuck if I know.
Slow cooker dip cheese, you can use it for.
I would use Velveeta cheese now with macaroni, but I'd have to put in like green chilies. like green chilies
I'd
in
eat
there.
that. I'd hit that, but it would have to be after midnight. But
Yeah, I just because to me, and I've made mac and cheese before. I'm not using Velveeta. Like I'll use good cheese, and I'll use some stuff. Have you ever had Homeroom over in Berkeley, the mac and cheese place?
know what's it called?
Homeroom.
I mean, it is on.
I love that.
My way home.
I love that place. It's incredible. They got so many mac and cheeses over there, and it's like real, like decadent type stuff.
So what's that place up in Seattle, Beechers? That's amazing. Great mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese. All right, most trouble you got into when you were younger. What did you do, and what punishment did you get?
I was good at evading it, man.
I've asked people that nobody's ever got in trouble. Like, am I the only one that got in trouble and got caught when I was younger?
Yeah.
Everybody else like, I was a good kid, or I didn't get caught, or
yeah, I got in trouble. I'm trying to think of a good one. Let's see. Well, there was one this is a great one. So my best friend since I was 4, my friend Danny, we grew up in Santa Monica and before I moved to Brentwood when we were really young. And there were all these, it was a hard Scrabble upbringing. And,
it really was a mean street.
Yeah. And it was, so there were all these avocado trees around and we would like steal avocados and go outside the Safeway on Montana and Lincoln. And we were these cute little kids and we would undercut the Safeway prices and sell avocados and get some change. Well,
undercut Safeway.
That became less cute as we got older. And I think once we were getting to be in junior high and breaking into yards and stealing avocados and selling them and, trying to buy beer or whatever.
Wait, beer in junior high?
No, I didn't drink
I was like, wait, hold on.
I mean, honestly, it would have been something other than beer, which was also
and we sold those too.
Yeah,
undercut
whatever
Safeway.
Dumb stuff we were doing. But so I kind of dropped out of the avocado theft game. But my other friend Greg, who's still one of my best friends, my friend Greg who lives up here, so he kind of took over for me. So.
Took over the business.
Yeah.
What is this, Succession?
Yeah.
Took over the family business.
So now fast forward to I'm 16 and I'm driving like my parents' Volvo. Now Santa Monica famously has all these alleys.
Yep.
There's a million alleys. I'm driving past an alley and I hear this, hey, because they recognize my car. And I pull into the alley and Danny and Greg are there with a shopping cart full of avocados. And I'm like, they're like, perfect timing. And they load hundreds of avocados into the Volvos have big trucks, into the Volvo truck. Close the trunk. As we're closing the trunk, a cop car rolls up. Now, my dad is a longtime labor lawyer who represents police and fire associations throughout Southern California, including the Santa Monica Police. I don't think he even knows this story. So I hope he listens. Probably, I don't know if he's going to make it this far in, but so cops roll up. Whose car is this? It's mine. The innocent guy driving by. And so we heard a report, one of the homeowners over here, that people broke into his yard and might have stolen some of his avocados. Can you open the trunk? I opened the trunk. They're doing some math. They're like, yep, this hits the threshold. It's grand theft. And I go, grand theft avocado? And their guy's like, yep, you laugh, but it's a felony. And I'm like, oh my God. So me, the driver, has to go into the yard and meet with the homeowner or the apartment dweller and apologize for breaking in, which I did not do, by the way.
Yes.
I was driving by. So I had to eat it and tell this guy, we are so sorry. That was terrible. We'll make it up to you somehow, blah, blah, blah. Do you want all these avocado? Like whatever. So now I go back and now they're running my ID. And my friends are already laughing at me because I took the heat for their thing. And he sees the name and he goes, Silver? So you're not related to Steve Silver, are you? And I said, yes, sir. And he's like, Steve Silver has the respect of everyone in this department. And my friends are starting to go, and he goes, Steve Silver is a legend throughout the Southern California community for what he's done for Mom. And Steve Silver, and like, you know, as my friends retell it, Steve Silver, you know, is respected by everyone who wears the shield across this great nation. And then the guy says, what do you think Steve would say if he knew about this? And now my friends are just like, and I'm like, he'd be really upset. That's right. And so then I get the lecture about how I'm a loser and my dad would hate me. Finally, the cop lets us off, drives away, and my friends are dying with laughter. And I'm like, F you and F you. And, you know, good luck with your avocado theft. So that was one time where I could have gotten in trouble pretty bad.
That's pretty funny though.
Yeah, my dad was my dad didn't handle it well when I misbehaved. So my sister and I had very different strategies. My strategy was completely lie and try to get away with it, and my sister would just blatantly be insubordinate and see if they had the courage to do anything about it.
If you did get in trouble, what was the punishment usually? Did you get spanked? Did you get put in your room? Was it like no TV?
They were a little bit early on the, hey, we don't spank, but yeah,
you're lucky on that train.
Yeah, I know. I would
I was a little late.
My dad's middle name is Harley, and my friends nicknamed him Harshly. My dad was like a, you know, tall, scary, like, you know, loud guy. So like usually like my mom is very sweet, and so we could mess with my mom when my dad wasn't there, but if we hit my mom past the threshold where she told my dad,
then it
was not good. But you know, a lot of Jewish households, so a lot of shaming, a lot of you know, I would be grounded, I would like lose grounding things. I mean, they'd make it hurt. But the I remember one time one of them made the mistake of calling me spoiled when I was you know, youngish, and so I did the whole, like, I thought about it. I was like, well, if I'm spoiled, that means you spoiled me. So it's really a you problem, not a me problem. So then I like took all my belongings and theatrically, you know, put them out in the hall and, you know, told them there's we got into a famous fight when I was about 16 and we were on a family trip and we'd been to Eugene, and I was like, I want to go to the University of Oregon. And my dad was like, there's no way I am paying to send you to a school that is worse than a UC school you could get into. He's like, we're not exactly talking about Harvard. If you could go to Cal or UCLA, and I was like, what are you talking about? I want to go to Oregon. It looks cool. That's where I want. What about what I want? And he was like, you know, absolutely not, you know. And I turned 16 and it was my birthday, or maybe 17. And I remember like, it had been such a bad fight, and they were like, well, we got to get you a birthday present. What do you want? And we were in the Cal student store, and I was like, well, there's a beach towel. I'll just take that. So like, I got this Cal beach towel when I was in high school, and like, I clung to this for like 20 years because of the symbolism. I was like, I got to have this old ratty Cal beach towel to remind me of the hard times.
Oh, you know, it just popped into my head. I'm going to bring it up, but I got to ask you about it. I asked Steve about this when I talked to him. The fires down there.
Yeah.
Like, how did that affect you? Where did you, I obviously the school you went to burned down, but the neighborhood, the house you grew up in, I mean, that must have been just brutal to watch that.
It was horrible. I'm from Brentwood, so luckily, though, my parents were evacuated for a week, like nothing burned where I was. But, you know, all my youth sports spots, all my little delinquent, you know, spots running around. Honestly, I mean, first of all, I haven't been back, and I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for it. My daughter, who lives in LA, was in the Valley working and texted me and said massive fire in the Palisades that she could see. And I was like, oh, this isn't good.
Yeah.
I have my friend Andy, who I grew up with, lives right there by the high school with his family. I texted him, and his first text back was, bad situation, fluid. And then I saw the news and he's like on foot. So he and his family escaped through, you know, brush trails on foot, which was harrowing.
Yeah.
I think I texted Steve pretty quick because of his mom. You know, I was very worried.
Mm-hmm.
She had gotten out, but unfortunately, the house didn't make it. And then a couple other people, but luckily no one I know, died or anything. And it was just, man, I think when you, it's such a cool look down there. It's very
really
unique,
is.
and it's a bummer.
Just surreal.
It's surreal,
right? Because you have all the memories of growing up down there and being at school down there and friends down there. And now I'd been there, I'd been through there, but I didn't really know anybody, so I didn't spend an appreciable amount of time in the neighborhood. But I know where it is, and it just, when you see that, you're like, good night. And then to know, I'd been to Steve's mom's house,
right,
a few times.
Chautauqua,
When I was at Arizona, we'd go over there for dinner. We down there playing USC and UCLA, so it's just, it was
he
brutal.
sent me a picture of the hoop on the ground.
Isn't it crazy?
That just killed me. And
yeah,
I always used to feel guilty because we'd be out there on that hoop, loud and pretending it was Game 7 or whatever, and which in Steve's case turned out to be like just a preview of his actual life. Got the ball from Michael Jordan.
Yes, exactly.
Took it. But and we would laugh for one thing because his parents were these esteemed professors, and his dad was known for giving the Arab perspective, and thus I think a radical Jewish group had tried to blow up his car one time. So we always used to say, well, this would be frowned upon by the JDL, us playing. So we laugh. And and then, but I always felt guilty because Malcolm's office was kind of like his home office was kind of right near where the hoop was. And me, I'm like ridiculously loud. And, I used to, like, thinking back on it, like one of the great educators of our time and his brilliant educator wife had to listen to us doing Chick Hearn and
Chick Hearn, baby.
Steve and I had this text exchange because I used to be a Warrior fan, and so I would tell him all about Bill King, and so he'd tell me about Chick Hearn. I knew Chick Hearn, of course, and I'd talk about Bill King, and he texted and he said, I remember one time the Lakers were playing the Warriors, and because you could get KMBR at night sometimes in and out on the 50,000 watts once it hit night. And he said, I remember we had 2 transistor radios, and we were listening to a Laker Warrior game, and we laughed because Chick Hearn said that Jamal Wilkes took a 20-footer and Bill King said it was 17 feet. And I texted back, it's crazy that we didn't get any girls. Like, are we the biggest dorks who ever lived? Wow.
I'm right with you.
Okay.
I'm right with you.
We're all overachievers now.
Yeah, it's all about sports at that time. It was all about, well, for me, sports and poker. It's either sports or going over to my buddy's house playing poker.
How's your poker game now?
I haven't played in forever. Remember when Hold'em got big, right? ESPN, No Limit Hold'em, World Series of Poker. Then it became really big, and then it started to die down a little bit, and I started having fewer and fewer games. I haven't played poker in forever, so it's one of those things. If you don't play, you kind of lose the feel for it. But I still love playing. It's still fun trying to outwit people, and
maybe we can get a game with Chris Cooley invited. And
I'm in. You kidding me?
By the way, once we start
invite Chris Cooley, I'm in.
Once we start looking at your phone list, it could open up a whole. We don't have great basketball connections.
I don't even know who I have. It's
so
funny.
Have Nelly?
I have Nelly.
Oh, okay.
I have Nelly.
I can think of a good Nelly prank.
Dude, Nelly. How about that? My favorite Nelly story was we go over there, and I asked Nelly I think it was around Christmas time, if he has a property that we could rent for the holidays. And he told me, he said, well, you can stay in our house. We're going to be in the Bay Area for the holidays. And he goes, you can stay here. I won't charge anything. Just take care of the dogs. We have 3 dogs here. So we're like, absolutely, love dogs. We'll take care of all the dogs. Well, his daughter was there anyway. She took care of the dogs. And I was like, well, I'll take care of them at night, bring them inside, let them hang out. And I used to watch TV. They'd be on the couch, petting them or whatever. So it was like super cool. So I got to stay there. And then you walk toward the street, and there's a game room out there. Open it up, big screen TV, kick back on the couch, watch the games in there. And he had a poker table, which, me and Lori and Weston and Walker and Haley all sat down. We were playing cards or whatever. I took $20 out for each of them. I killed them. I think we're playing a different game, but there's a picture he has. Like God, it's probably like, I don't know, 3 feet by 2 feet. It's not a picture, it's a painting that he has above the poker table. And Weston looks at it and he goes, "Is that Woody Harrelson?" I go, "Yep." He goes, "Is that Owen Wilson?" I go, "Yep." And I go, "You don't know him, but that's Willie Nelson as well." So he had a picture. Somebody painted a picture of his boys all playing poker.
Like in Paella over there.
Yep, exactly.
Oh
so, come to find out, I think Nelly might have told me this story, that I still kind of remember his look. It was like Nelly and then a guy that I didn't notice to his left, or didn't know. I didn't recognize, because I just think he was a buddy. So I guess they're playing poker one night, and I don't know if Owen Wilson, Woody, I don't know if all of them were there, but they're playing poker one night. They used to do it all the time. They may still do it. And they're playing poker, and this fucking dude dies at the table. Dies at the poker table. They call 911. They lean him back and fucking deal the next hand. And they're like, he would have wanted it that way.
Okay, first of all, I wouldn't want it that way.
The best ever. He would have wanted it that way.
Meanwhile, Willie Nelson is in his 90s, still performing, gets high every 2 seconds. Willie Nelson is never going to die.
I asked him one time, I go, hey, because when he said he played against, he goes, yeah, Owen Wilson plays, Woody Harrelson plays, Willie Nelson plays. I go, how do you do against those guys? He goes, oh, I just wait till they fucking get high and then I kill them. Oh, man. Hey, brother, thanks so much.
Dude, that was so
incredible.
And
absolutely incredible.
I want to commend us on our restraint for barely drinking.
Yeah, we had 2 beers each.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm 1.5.
Oh, 1.5. You don't even need to finish that one.
Yeah, I won't.
Yeah, you don't need to.
I remember the first time after college where I realized I could leave a bar without having to chug the
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
you get to a certain age, I call that maturity, where you're like, I just leave it sitting there. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have to finish it.
It's a weird mental barrier.
Yeah.
Because you're so ingrained. Like, I remember when we started college, my friend Greg and I were so insecure, we would always be by the keg at parties because we got to be close to the keg.
Yeah.
Just in case we need to refill. And, the party comes to you that way.
Well, it's funny because I remember speaking of drinking, because I don't know if your parents ever said this to you, but my parents would say it to me, you don't finish your dinner. There were starving kids in Africa.
Yeah.
They could do this.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember telling my dad one time, I go, oh, what are we going to FedEx this to him? Did not work out well for me at all. Did not work out well at all. I was like, all right, if I can lesson learned. Yeah. I kind of knew that's what it was going to I mean, well, maybe, I don't know what I did.
Good pull on the FedEx.
Oh, yeah. He thought it was hilarious. He thought he thought it was really.
He loved it.
Yeah, my dad was not the guy that was going to laugh like that. He's like, okay.
I used to tell my dad that I was going to go to Jacuzzi U or UKB, the University of Kicking Back, when I was a high school senior. He was not happy. So one day on like a weekend, I slept till 11:30, immediately went outside and started laying out by the pool where he was doing laps with my shades on. And he was just disgustedly looking over at me. And, he started in as soon as he got up, oh, what time did you fucking wake up? And, he just immediately, and finally I said, Dad, all I was doing was sleeping. I'm like, I just, what I meant to say was like, it's just like a natural body function. But I said, it's just like a human right. And he goes, you have to earn the right to sleep. I worked hard all week. I earned the right to sleep if I want to sleep. You didn't earn the right to sleep. It just went on one of the great rampages.
That is absolutely amazing.
Oh my
absolutely
God.
Amazing. Well, thank you, man.
Thank you.
That was awesome. I
So much fun.
really enjoyed the conversation.
You're the best.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Will you take a photo of us to memorialize this?
All right, everybody. Enjoy. Hope you enjoyed.
This,
we got all this stuff back. And make sure it's coming up on paperback. The why is the reason.
Is everything.
I know it. That's
why
why
is everything.
You heard me say it twice. I was like fishing for you to step in and you didn't quite step in for me. The why is everything, and then there's more to it.
A story of football, rivalry, and revolution. It's on my social media bios. You can't miss it. Wherever books are sold.
It's worth reading. It really is. You don't have to be a football fan, but if you're a football fan, it's got you covered, and it really just kind of explains these guys' friendships, their journey, their visions, their thought processes, the competition they have between one another, the friendship they have between one another. It's a really, really cool read. So
I want to do a book on the Sean Kemp 2 tomahawk dunks over Alton Lister.
Yeah, I'm not going to participate in that. I was not happy with that at all. Dude, I was like fucking Apollo Creed's trainer. I was like, get out of there, because I could see him coming, and he was winding it up. I was like, oh shit. I was like, Alton, just jump and knock the crap out of him. Like, knock him out of the air. Don't just stand there.
You've never seen a sports writer celebrating like a dork with Sonic fans.
No, that's not true. And that's not true for Sonic fans. You remember a guy named Sal Masekela?
Yeah.
He worked at ESPN first year. ESPN got basketball. I worked with ESPN that year. And it might, as me and Mike Tirico were calling the game.
Nice.
And I forget who it was, Seattle versus whoever. So Sal Masekela is behind, and Sal Masekela is a guy you out there may recognize the name. He does the X Games, so he's an announcer for the X Games. Got the dreads and everything. Super cool guy. But it wasn't really a basketball announcer, but they put him in there, kind of hip up the show and that kind of thing. So Sal Masekela is behind the Sonics bench at the time. I forget if he just interviewed somebody or just listening in to see what they're going to do. They're down like 1 or 2 at the end of the game. I forget what it was. They come down. And by the way, he works for ESPN. Seattle hits a buzzer beater. I don't know if it was a 2 or 3, but they went by 1. A buzzer beater. Bang. Everybody in the court going crazy. Camera pans to the bench. Everybody's like jumping up and down, high-fiving. And there's fucking Sal jumping up and down, high-fiving the Sonics. and Mike and I are looking at the monitor going, what the fuck is he doing over there? He's celebrating with the team. Oh, that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. That was funny. That was funny. I go, dude, I think he just high-fived him too. Oh boy, Sal, amazing.
All right, I'm gonna go set.
Thanks, brother.
I'm gonna go set a record for longest pee.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and do that.